The Earth is very flat.
What's going on, everybody? It is Brandon from Brandon's Show. Hope everybody's doing okay. It's February 8th, Monday, 2021, day after the Super Bowl, if you care about that sort of thing. And hope nobody's too hungover out there for you who are into sports. We got a bunch of people in chat so far. What's up, everybody? We got Balanced Truth, Knows Best, Superflurf, Godzilla 37, Enigma, Taboo, Dan Morris, Ian Adams, Matrix Media, Paul Keeling, and Page 42. What's up, guys? Happy Monday to everybody. I can see our bandwidth issues are creeping back up, unfortunately, but I'll deal with that in the background. We've got some exciting stuff going on tonight. We have, hopefully, I think he said he was going to make it. White's Word is going to come in and pitch a idea for a new experiment, and talked about it over the weekend via DMs and email, and I think this one seriously has a shot at working, so we're going to beat that dead horse some more. There's a video from Sky Free that came out that's pretty interesting. It has to do with optics. It's kind of a variation, I'll say, of what Pebble in the Pond did with his observation in the warehouse. And I think Sky Free is kind of playing around with the same idea. He did it very well. We'll take a look at that, hopefully. I'm hoping Rakia will stop in because he put out a video of the bridge, Lake Pontchartrain Bridge in wintertime. That might be interesting to take a look at. And who knows what else. Oh yeah, the CCP is taking over Canada. So if SE Montreal stops in, we'll touch on that. That kind of hits home for him. Let's see, who do we have in Discord? Quite a few people. So why don't we go on and stop in there and say hello?
Yeah, left lane. I could have made up two different lakes. One of them's flat on the top. One of them's curved at the top. Gave him the numbers for the depth, the length of the string on top of the lake, everything. There's no fucking way that he would have been able to tell me with those numbers what was happening on the top of each of the lakes.
No, that was just Dallas Dave. That's why I said the only thing that makes sense in what he was saying is that he was saying it.
Brandon is in the house.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
What up?
We got Travis.
Hello, what up?
Good timing. What's up, man?
Not too much. Just wrapped up really day 2 for Pontchartrain. Day 1 was cut short because the weather was bad. So I got there about 2 o'clock and it was just so cloudy. I had about a quarter-mile visibility. I'm going to get home by Thursday.
The Thursday, okay. You haven't been home for like, what, 3 weeks or something, huh?
Yeah, this is the 4th week.
I can't remember the last time I went on a trip for 3 weeks. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
20 miles of mostly flat, like, what do they call it? Causeway. Wow. Must be spectacular to see the whole thing.
Yeah, you know what absolutely blows my mind is that second crossway that looks like it's at a 45-degree angle. That is barely like even I don't even know. It's like 20 feet off the ground. It's not even that high.
It looks
45.
like,
It looks like 90. It almost looks like a 90 degrees.
Yeah, it looks like a takeoff ramp. Like, cars are gonna go up it and fly off the end.
Yeah, I mean, all I can say is that I've got, I can verify that happens because I've got plenty of shots for it. Now, what's going to be interesting is because I'm going to assume that all of the crossways are relatively spaced, right? So I think there's 7 going across, and when you're on the New Orleans side, you start out with crossway number 7, and it's really low. Then the next crossway 6 is a higher one, and then they've got 7 all the way across. But when I was on the other side at I think it's Manville or something, there it didn't happen. The larger crossway was not as exaggerated as the other one. So you've got one effect going one way and a completely different effect going the other way.
So it's all about effects rather than actual reality.
Yeah.
Huh, interesting. Yeah, looking forward to seeing the footage you come back with, man.
I need another month to do that.
That's what I was thinking.
You
You
know,
probably got a whole
this
shitload
might be
of things full
a
of
funny-
memory cards.
Yeah.
a funny factor, but not only the time of day and the lighting, but the amount of traffic going over the bridge, engines, exhaust, it all rises and stuff, and it creates almost a wall,
Yeah.
a certain amount of distortion when you're shooting across the bridge and through that, that extra turbulence.
There's a
and
name for that.
turbidity.
I can't remember exactly what it's called, but there's a name for it.
The phenomena is so bad on I-95 that runs through like Walterboro in South Carolina that the coastal rain that would come in every night and rain out all the way to Columbia gets cut off now 30 miles before Columbia and rains out when it hits the I-95. There's such a heat wall there that the normal rainfall that would go 60 miles inland, it's cut off, and it only goes 30 miles. If you're in the Walmart parking lot there, it'll rain on you, and you can go to the other side of the highway, and it's bone dry. Daily.
I've been in a rainstorm like that. That is weird. We were at outside eating at a patio one time. It was sunny, and it rained on half of the damn patio, and the other half was absolutely dry. We're watching rain come down on the other side of the patio. I'm talking, an area of like 50 by 20 feet. Very weird. But anyway, let's say hello to the rest of the people. We got Mark, Helvetica Bold. What's up, Mark?
I'm good. Good to be here.
Good, man. And Jeremy.
How we doing?
Good, man. Good. And we heard from Jimbo. What's up, Jimbo? How you doing today?
Hey, knocking them dead.
Left lane, Howard. How you doing, man?
Good, how are y'all?
Good. Matrix Media, mic check.
Mic check. What's going on, everyone?
What's up, man? SC Montreal.
Hello, Brandon. Hello, everybody.
What's up? Well, while we're waiting for White's word, why don't I bring up that story that you had sent me over the weekend? And I'll share my screen in Discord as well, so you guys can take a look at it. Oh, is this a video? Oh, shoot. Well, why don't you tell us what's
You're
going on?
talking about the hotel,
Yeah,
Brandon?
I probably won't be able to play it because I'll get busted. But why don't you tell us what's going on here?
Well, from what I remember, the good government of Canada leased out this hotel to the Chinese. Sorry, am I coming in okay?
Yeah, you sound fine.
Sounds good.
Oh, cool. They leased out they sold out a chain of hotels to the Chinese conglomerate, and one of them, or I'm not sure if there's going to be a few of them, they're going to be called COVID hotels. So anybody with COVID, they're going to put them there.
What? Wow, that is weird.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it myself, bro.
So it's like a hospital overflow type of thing, or is that where you're going to go if you need to be in quarantine or something?
If you land in Canada,
yeah, and they're going to be in charge of it.
yeah, if you land
The
in
Chinese,
Canada,
that is.
from an aircraft, you're automatically put in one of these hotels, and you're quarantined, and your family is not allowed to know where you are.
You can't contact your family?
Oh yeah, this is not by choice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. There's a number of different channels reporting on the same story. That if you arrive in Montreal off a plane and they don't accept your paperwork that you've been tested over the last 72 hours for COVID, you will be quarantined, and nobody will know where you are. Your mobile phone or your cell phone is confiscated, and that's it.
I would be very surprised if that part of that were.
Well, I'll tell you
That
one
seems
thing. I
downright
live in
illegal.
Montreal, and we have a curfew from 8 to 5, 8 at night, 5 in the morning. Anybody caught outside is $1,500 ticket.
Right. Yeah, I understand that. But you imagine them taking your personal belongings, your family not being able to know.
Yeah, no kidding. That is pretty extreme.
Yeah.
And this is in North America, ladies and gentlemen.
What would be the purpose of them doing that? I mean, why wouldn't they want you to have your phone or allow you to talk to your family? And why is the CCP in control of the hotels?
That is the question. Why is a foreign body, a communist foreign state, have any control and anything in Canada? Why?
It's China, bro. This is the takeover right here.
Yeah, there were no such thing as foreign. It's the Earth. One globe government controlled under a Chinese-style authority all over the world.
Well, there's a little bit of Chinese history that people neglect here. And over 5,000 years ago, the Chinese established a secret service. That secret service has been in operation through all the dynasties, including the communists that rule. And the true governance there is the Chinese Secret Service. It's the way it's been. So whatever they want to call it on the surface, it's still the same basic secret service that's been running for over 5,000 years since the Sung dynasty. And it's older than the CIA by like, CIA are still like in the ovaries and haven't even been conceived yet.
This is like their intelligence.
It's a clan, a secret clan that was formed in the time of the Sung dynasty to protect the ruling class, to make sure whatever that there was always control.
Jimbo,
And that Chinese secret service has never been broken, has never gone away.
Jimbo, you're one step ahead of us. Just from a personal experience, what was legal 5 years ago was normal, and now normal has become illegal. In the
Yeah, you're coming in a bit soft for me, so
sorry. Okay, I'll repeat that. You're one step ahead of us. What was legal or normal 24, maybe 30 months ago has now become illegal. How did that happen?
Well, we get these Muppets in power like Trudeau, and they pass laws where first we get to bring our puppies and jack them off in hotel rooms, and then they sell the chains to the Chinese who give us a disease and then say, well, we have to be like isolated in quarantines in these nice hotels the Chinese now own. These little concentration camps. It is bizarre. You know, we do have a constitution and constitution acts that are supposed to protect us from, unusual punishments and other stuff, foreign ownership kind of stuff.
But the strength of the Constitution depends on the majority understanding what it is. And
well, yeah, only if you defend it do you have the right to hide behind it. Otherwise, it doesn't belong to you. You get what you deserve.
Can I ask Mark a question when you're done?
Please, go ahead.
Tell me, Mark, where you said you heard this in other... Because I just found out about this recently. I'm surprised. Where did you hear this?
Well, I follow a number of different pages on Facebook, and yeah, Facebook is it can be truth or half truths or total lies. But there was one guy who he lives in England. His wife works in America, and there was no direct flight from America to England, so she flew into Montreal first, so to get back to England. And when she landed in Montreal, they didn't accept any of her paperwork, and suspected that she had the COVID infection at default. And she was quarantined for 14 days, and the husband in England didn't know where she was and had no access to her for 2 weeks. And once they were reunited, that was the explanation, that she was just confiscated when she landed in Montreal.
Wow, bro. I'm ashamed to be Canadian at this moment. Wow.
There would be at least at least serious loss filed over that.
It doesn't matter what paperwork says. If somebody's got a Kevlar suit on them and a gun in their hand, they have the authority. Fuck the paperwork. I've got
And
a
it isn't
gun.
like they're gonna listen to reason, right? It isn't like they're gonna say that, oh yeah, you got me, you know the laws. They have the guns, the suits, and the backup. They're gonna take you wherever it is that they want to take you.
Yeah, yeah. It's not reason or logic or paperwork. It's because I have a gun. I'm gonna put you away for 2 weeks, and don't worry, it's a nice posh hotel, and we'll feed you. But you've got no contact with the outside world.
Yeah,
That is
Howard, just real
tyranny.
quick on the lawsuit issue, Howard. I mean, listen, I went toe to toe with the courts over traffic violations, right? I stood up for myself, defended myself logically and soundly. And at the end of it, I was railroaded. We're doing this because we can. So imagine what a lawsuit that has to do with something on a more grand scale is going to cost in your time and your money. So it's not just a simple lawsuit, Howard, and they know it. They know we don't have the time, and they know we don't have the money.
Yeah, but in what we call a world, and I mean America is the proverbial free world.
No,
They
it's
would
not, Howard.
confiscate an individual and detain them, and no word to the family, and and all that stuff. There would be, I would think, some consequences to that action.
All you're doing is repeating yourself. What consequences
I
can
understand.
we?
I stand by that it makes sense to me that somebody's has to be in trouble over it.
Who? They know that they have the power behind them. We do not have that kind of power.
So, Mark, was he people from England or?
It was just one story of a guy that was expecting his wife to be able to arrive home from America. She had
Right.
to take a flight into Montreal first to get back to London. And when she landed in Montreal, she was bodily confiscated for 2 weeks because they suspected she had COVID. Now, there was no presumption of innocence. It was a presumption that you are contagious, and we're going to put you
Right.
away for 2 weeks before we let you go, before you can continue your journey onto London.
So that part of it, I understand, agree that validity, but for them to take her and take all of her possessions and basically imprison her 2 weeks without any contact, her family had no idea who was that or what happened and things like that. That part of it seems a bit out of.
Okay, if that is hearsay, it's hearsay. I don't have any first-hand personal knowledge of that. However, if you hear a similar story from a different channel, just consider it that possibly that is what's going on.
Well, just information here is enough for me to check it out, because, like, in taking the position, it just sounds extravagant or whatever. If that indeed happened, that would give me a little bit different perspective.
Okay, well, I can't go any further with the story other than what I've related to you.
Right.
If something similar happens, you can sort of link it to what I've just said, or if nothing ever happens again, you can just dismiss what I've said.
I mean, would it be a fair statement that we can't stand for shit like that?
Yeah, on paper we can't, but even on a local level, if somebody wants to sell coffee from his shop in Ireland where I live, the enforcement comes in with guns, saying, close your shop down. You can't sell coffee because you're attracting public to mingle together, and we have the COVID crisis.
Yeah.
You know what the
Then that-
problem is, Mark? sorry to cut you off, Left Lane.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
The Americans don't
Wait, get
understand
it.
this.
Get it? You cut him off. Left Lane, cut him off. Sorry.
Left Lane, yeah. Honk, honk. Mark, the Americans don't get this, bro. Most of them is because they don't understand what kind of rule the rest of the world is. And you know something, guys? Keep fighting because you're the last country standing.
Well, they're trying here. I'll tell you that. They're definitely making some inroads too.
What you have in America, we don't have in the UK, and that's due process. If we I live in Northern Ireland, which is part of Ireland, and it's part of the UK as well. If we fall back on due process, the courts say, "Oh, that's America. That's not UK law." So, in America, you have due process, but you don't see the due process being allowed to flow properly.
So how does the laws work over there? Like where do you go to study the origin of it?
Well, we have common law, naturally common law, but we also have a Roman law, which is enforcement, and we've seen the natural process of common law being melted away or dissolved, and we have enforcement. Common law and enforcement is a contradiction. Common law is what my neighbor would say if I'm accused of something.
But don't you guys have like a Magna Carta kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, the Magna Carta is a bit of it's a bit vague. That applied 700 years ago to barons. Barons don't exist. Well, they do on paper. Yeah, they do on paper. What happened at Magna Carta on in principle was correct in that we have natural laws and rights. But whenever a police officer comes to you with a gun in his hand and he is enforcing you to comply to rules that Westminster, that's the government of the UK, has stated, you've got no chance. The Magna Carta is established within a court of law. When a policeman's coming to you with a gun, there's no court of law there. He has all the authority. And it's a life or death situation. You submit to him, or you could say, "Oh, I have common law behind me. I have the Magna Carta," and he says, "What the fuck?" and he shoots me.
That's pretty much everywhere, though, Mark. Like even here in the U.S. is pretty much like that. You don't do what they say, they're gonna shoot you.
Yeah,
especially if you have some sort of melanin in your skin.
Yeah, listen. I was threatened with I'll say with my life. I was pulled over for a traffic violation, and my license was suspended because I didn't pay a ticket from California. It was what was the stupid ticket in California? I can't remember. It was like running a stop sign or something. I didn't stop, come to a full stop, so I didn't pay the ticket. So California suspended my license in Maryland. So when I'm driving in Maryland, I got pulled over for my front license plate wasn't on. And so that's a code violation. So he pulled me over. And when he asked for my identification, I said, I'm reserving the right to my private property. My license is my property. And so I'm not going to give it to you. And he reached inside my window, grabbed my window, and was going to pull the window off. He was so mad. His inferior officer, who actually called the superior, was on my passenger side, and he extended his baton and he was pounding it in his hand. Just wait. He was intimating that he was going to smash my window. And I said, "Ho, ho, ho!" I said, "I just want you to know that the only reason why I am giving you this information right now is because I am afraid for my life. You are threatening me, and that's the only reason why I'm giving you the documentation that you're requiring."
Yeah.
So
If you plead due process in that situation, and the cop has got a gun or a baton, the due process will, in that particular situation, it will not trump.
What you have to understand too, guys, listen, if you haven't looked into this, you need to start looking into this. When you enter into the system, you are relinquishing your constitutional rights. They're gone. Okay? Just like when you go to work for some XYZ company and on Thursdays you have to wear a tutu, and if you don't wear a tutu, you get written up, and the third strike, whatever. Okay, so it's your right, yeah. Okay, wait a minute, it's my freedom. I have the right not to wear a tutu. No, you don't. Not in our system.
What it is, Travis, is that we contract our rights away. Like when you go to the DMV, they make you sign all those papers, and what you don't understand is that you're agreeing to cops stopping you. You're agreeing to having to give them your license. Correct. That's why they give you the ticket, because you're breaking the contractual agreement. But they don't. We don't know that. They make us think that we have to have a license because it's government ordinance. It isn't.
Right. That's well, it is an ordinance. It is. But you have to understand that the government is.
But it isn't a law, is what I'm saying.
Okay, listen. Law. When you're dealing with codes and policies of the state, that's not law. That's legal. Okay?
Yeah.
Law has to do with what we understand by nature, right? Legal has to do with not turning on your signal when you're going to go into the left lane.
Yeah.
Okay, you can get pulled over for that. That's a policy violation. That's not law. That's not do no harm. Okay? So, but you're right.
Also, what you contract yourself to is also law.
No, it's not. It's legal. That's all legal. You don't. The only contract that I have that's lawful is if Mark and I agree that he's going to scrub my, scrub the grout on my kitchen floor, and I pay him $50 or whatever. That's a contract between Mark and me. That's law, right? Between the two of us. That's got nothing to do with legality. Legality is when you move into the corporate system. And
what I'm telling you is when you go to the DMV, you contract your rights away.
I already agreed with you. I already agreed with you.
That's why that's why it's a law in that situation.
Okay, listen very carefully. That's not law. That's legal. It is now illegal for you, right? You can drive lawfully, right? Because you're going to do no harm. You can do that lawfully with the good of your neighbor in mind. However, if you drive without your license, that is illegal. Because you can still lawfully drive. I can still drive safely, even though my license is suspended, but it's now illegal.
Yeah, the difference between law and legal. Law protects, legal controls.
They play with the words to mess with your head.
Yeah, this stuff's totally all over my head. I have never looked into this legal stuff too much. Actually, I bought a book about it. I started reading it. I was so fucking bored. When I was in college,
well, you gotta,
the only class that I really hated was the law class. It was boring as hell.
Well, you
there's
gotta
a lot of good
understand
channels.
there's complexity in the law. Like, me, I'm a bit right wing. I think some things that are, driving and people think are just offhand not criminal are, parking in front of a fire hydrant. People can die when you do that. Speeding, knowingly driving faster than the road conditions. It takes the same mental state of knowing that you shouldn't be doing it, that there's danger, that you could hurt yourself or someone else, but you do it anyway. And that's what criminals do.
In the UK, we have what's called the Road Traffic Act of 1998.
I know, but my point here is that what is considered like a non-criminal, which is road safety.
He didn't even make his point.
I know. I just want to finish mine. Okay, and mine is that even something that's not criminal and not treated as criminal can very easily be pushed into the criminal arena.
Okay, Jimbo, we have thousands of laws that comes under the Road Traffic Act of 1998. The whole lot of those laws can be drawn into 3 laws or 3 rules. 1,000 into 3, and the 3 are: we live in the UK, so it's drive on the left, be courteous to all other road users, and drive with due care and attention. And those 3 laws cover everything that the government imposes on us and will fine us for. If traffic lights fail at a busy junction, every driver resorts to those 3 laws: drive with due care and attention, and be courteous to other people. And people will get through that junction because even though the traffic lights fail. And that's where human beings use their own common sense rather than impositions from government.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, if you are familiar with your neighborhood or your city and you come to a light that you know should be working and isn't, you don't blow through that light. No one does that.
You
Right?
drive
Common
with
sense.
due care and attention.
Yeah. You know, and
Well,
just like
here
today.
we call it defensive driving and sharing the
Yeah.
road.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And if there was no law and you were driving, you would go by those rules. And it's interesting how when there's a failure in the system, people will resort to common sense.
Well, I personally think we have too many laws, and one of the problems is, and I saw this a lot in the military, people want to make a name for themselves. So a new lawmaker or a new mayor or a new whatever wants to make a name for themselves, so they come up with some problem that they can solve that's not really a problem. In the military, it was always one person got hurt doing something extremely stupid, so they ban anything involved with that activity, and that became a new rule. It was rule making. Stop making new fucking rules. That's what I want.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's move on. There's a video from Sky Free. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that channel, but I'll pop the link in the YouTube chat and the Discord. Really good channel. Does a lot on along the lines of like what Pebble in the Pond has been doing, and Travis, refraction, atmospherics, that kind of study, optics. They came out with a new video. Ranty actually contacted me before the show and said, hey, you should check this out. So I thought we might watch this, and hope Sky Free doesn't mind. I don't think he will. And see what you guys thought about it. If White's Word does join, then we'll switch over to that, because I really want to get to his idea tonight. But for now, we'll go into this. His or hers? I'm not sure actually. Okay. Can you guys see
both?
Huh?
It's both.
It's both, huh? Okay.
Sky Free is a husband and wife team.
Oh, okay. All right, gotcha. All right, so I think I'm safe to play the sound on this one. So I'll just play it and we can check it out. There's some cool clips at the beginning. Let me make it a little bigger. You may have seen one of their videos before. They did it with little boats, like little speed boats on a lake, and showed how they disappeared behind the mirroring.
That was good.
Oh yeah, that was good stuff. All right, here we go. Oh, you guys probably won't be able to hear it, but that's all right. Yeah, that was the one I was talking about with that little boat there. I mean, I like this because what they're doing is they're comparing, you know, the observations that we have over long distances with smaller scaled down versions of the same thing, which is what we're always asking the globe for. So it's nice to see this done on a small scale.
Yeah, so on a small scale and a large scale, the horizon seems to come to an abrupt end, and everything seems to be behind that horizon.
On a large scale.
And on a local scale as well.
On a small scale.
Showed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it seems to take place on both. So
And the horizon seems to be very sharp as well.
yeah, right. Okay, so what they're doing here is they're setting up a little demonstration, and they've got this skyline that you'll see on the screen right now. Little miniature building setup or whatever by a door. And they're going to open that door, let the air rush in, cold air from outside, rush in, and then close the door again. So very much like what Pebbles did. And here they show you the tape measure and how far it is. I think it was 20 feet. I don't want to butcher it. Let me play it so I get it right.
Yeah, it was 20 feet.
It was 20 feet, yeah. All right, and then here we've got, at the start of the observation, they took 3 different height measurements for the temperature. So at the ceiling, it was, or 8 foot, it was 75 degrees, 2 foot 70, and at the surface, 1 inch, 69 degrees. And then peak distortion, which is after they open the door, you can see how it changed on the right. 76 at 8 foot, 72 at 2 foot, and 48 at 1 inch. Quite the difference at 1 inch, not as much difference the higher you get. There they showed the humidity outside, so you know what the air is coming inside. So this is cool. They got a lot of data to back it up. Don't spend too much time going over it, but the humidity is 59% and it's 27 degrees outside. So they've got all the relevant data here, which is cool. And then they're going to go ahead and do it. I'll just let this part play. Now they've opened the doors. These things you're seeing behind, just to give you an idea of the scale, there's those vertical blinds. So this is just like 3 of them moving around.
Here comes the mixture.
Yeah, you can definitely see the air rushing in and the impact that it's having. And they're about to spray water right now. So they're spraying it between the camera and the mini city there. Now they're raising the camera. You start to see that red thing again.
I mean, so far they're mimicking the conditions on Earth. It gets colder as it goes up, right?
Yeah, it gets colder as it goes up. Yeah, exactly.
So they're mimicking the conditions of Earth. All right.
Yeah.
Good.
And they're showing you how elevation impacts that layer that's at the bottom, the refraction layer, or the ether band, as Travis calls it.
Sure. Plus, the angle change itself is enough to make you see things different.
Yep, good point. Now, here they lowered the camera, and I think that was interesting. I wish the camera was a little more stable, but you can still see the big difference from when they had it up above. Let me see if I can hit the right spot here. I'll just play it from there. So here it is up, and they're going to lower it.
Yeah, they look stretched.
They do look stretched, yep. And then it gets down, and that the bottom is covered. Now you can't see that red spot. I know it's going in and out of focus, but when it is in focus, you can't see it. Let's see if I can hit the right spot. All right, there. Now that red is completely gone. Now I wanted to point out the way this horizon looks. Reminds me a lot of the footage we see in what we call phenomenon we call proximate looming. I don't know if you would agree with that, Travis, or have any thoughts of that, but a lot of times you'll see that kind of choppiness, waviness, kind of abnormal horizon, which is the foreground kind of, looming up, I guess. And
yeah, I think I might have actually made a comment on the video as well. That's what I would interpret that as being.
Yeah. And of course, the bottom is blocked. And now they're changing the lighting to see if it'll change anything. Now they're going to close the door again. And it's going to start warming up, of course.
The heating company must be loving these tests we're doing.
Yeah, we should get kickbacks, man. Between Jimbo's flashlights and the heating company business. And there it comes.
But it's
back in
amazing,
focus.
right?
What's that?
I was just saying it's amazing, like hot air meeting cold air, causing shimmering and all kinds of effects. Kind of like what we see over water and hot road surface.
Even as the sun goes over us throughout the day, that's constantly in a state of happening. You know what I mean? That thing that it never ends. It's constantly getting hotter and colder as the sun travels above us.
I call that turbulence.
Yep. Shout out Travis.
Yep, and I'd like to point out that there is no mirroring, no apparent mirroring. I think there may be mirroring, but there's no obvious mirroring like we see in pebbles. Yet the bottom is obstructed.
Step your game up, Pebbles. No, I'm just kidding. Shouts out to Pebbles. Yeah.
No, but I thought this was pretty interesting, and I thought I'd share the work that they've been doing. They've got a lot of videos on their channel.
I remember when that first one came out with the little tiny boat, and that shit was awesome because it wouldn't be over Earth curve right there, and we're still seeing it disappear.
Exactly, way too short for it to be Earth curve. Yeah, that was a big deal when that video came out.
Yeah, that was big shit. Yeah, shouts out to these people.
I'll pop the link into chat here a couple more times. Everybody go and subscribe to Sky Free, and put it in YouTube too. Go and check them out. Give them a subscribe, and they got some good stuff. Anybody have any thoughts on this little? Not so much an experiment. I guess it's observation, right?
Yeah, a little observation. It's fucking awesome. It mimicked what we saw. What happens on Earth? It's hotter at the bottom, gets colder up top. And what do you want? We see shit disappearing.
It also shows that the limited glossary of terms that we have and been using to apply to these effects is just that, too limited. This is turbulence, wake turbulence. We call it turbulence behind jet engines and planes and whatever,
We don't have to use their terms. Like I like using heat haze, whether they like it or not.
I'm not against that. If it fits, it's good. Like the ether band. I don't mind that use of ether band.
Everyone knows.
Well,
everyone knows.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Lev. No, I was gonna say everyone knows that heat haze. We've all seen that heat haze. Essie was just talking about.
Yeah, that's what I see when I look out.
when you uncork a bottle of acid and you look at the neck, you see that same type of haze and distortion. Fuming. You know, in a bottle, we call it fuming. And, you know,
No
we
doubt. I
say
haven't uncorked.
evaporation, and the proper term is vaporization. When water leaves a lake or a pot or a kettle or anything, it's vaporizing. It's not evaporating necessarily.
I'm gonna take your word for it. I haven't uncorked too many bottles of acid myself, so.
In talking about Sky Free's observation and it being, and when we talk about science and experiment, from my perspective, when you're observing like that and you're manipulating the atmosphere and stuff, to me that's an experimental observation. You didn't, you know, quantify and you didn't draw a chart and all that, but you're manipulating stuff and watching the effect. And you know, if you did that repeatedly over time, maybe you could come up with a solid foundational, you know, information about it. I would classify that as science.
You might be able to form that into a hypothesis. Like, why do things tend to disappear bottom up?
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
And if you did form that into a you know, a hypothesis and whatever, that'd be more than the globe had.
Yeah, well, here in Ottawa, at Ottawa U, you have the American Optical Society, and they're pretty in depth in all the stuff they have. They've been around a while, eh? We have optometrists and study already done and all this kind of stuff. It's not new. You know how, like I say, our perception of the world has been warped by these space agencies and, you know, fiction and all this stuff. That's different from the reality of vision and optics. Your eye, you know, like I say, if you're a good portrait photographer, you don't use your eye to focus on your subject. You know the known distance from the lens and you set it on the lens. They have calibrations. Your eye moves in and out of focus all the time. It's not dependable. So, I don't know, you know. When the farther you're looking out at the distance, your eye is actually trying to focus and refocus constantly.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
It never stops.
We got
And
a
you have a dominant eye.
we got a super chat from Adrian Gardner. Thank you very much. $4.99. What is that? British pounds. Illegal means that it is forbidden by law that has been passed. Unlawful means that it is not authorized by law because no such law has been passed.
Well, we don't have laws technically. We have Constitution acts that we live under. There are two kinds. One is criminal and one is civil here. And Quebec goes by its own civil code and criminal code. So that helps to complicate life.
So illegal means it's forbidden by law. Unlawful means that it is not authorized by law. Huh. Interesting. Okay, I get it. Thank you, Adrian. Appreciate that, man. All right. Well, I don't know, Jeremy. What do you think? Should we go ahead and go through White's words stuff? And then...
I mean, it's your call. I had you know, questions for him, but if you want to, go ahead.
Well, hopefully...
we only talked about it for 9 hours yesterday, so.
Well, hopefully you can join, but yeah, let's go ahead and do it, and then he can correct. I keep saying he. Is it a guy or a girl? Do you know?
I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't know. No.
I don't either. I think I don't know. So I apologize if I'm saying it wrong. But so over the weekend, I talked to White's Word. He sent me his concept for this experiment. We got a presentation here. Now I put together some slides to try to explain how I understood it.
We'll use the picture he sent. Use the picture he sent.
I've got that in here. Hold on.
Oh, all right, all right.
I'm gonna use both. I'm gonna use both pictures. Relax.
Spiraling.
All right. Yeah. So what he sent me was this and some words to go along with it. Now, this, he says, is a definitive Earth curvature test, non-optical and based on geometry. Make it a little bigger for the audience. That might be hard to read. Hold on one second. There we go. All right. So, if the supposed circumference of the Earth is 40,000 kilometers, then the force vectors, B, C, D, and F, you see the diagram down here, which illustrates a imaginary curved ball Earth. The force vectors and the points are down here below along the middle, along the sagittal. Below would only ever be towards the surface or down. Let me explain a little bit. What he's doing is he's got a 10-kilometer distance, 5 kilometers from each side of point D. And then he's got a taut line at 1 meter above water level. So I think these are meant to be posts. These are the 1 meter posts down here, 1 meter posts. And I take it these is some kind of winch or some way to tighten this line up. And he is forcing this line by putting pressure on it to move down. So if it's a globe Earth, then this line will have to move down. And the force will be in a downward vector. So raising point A in G to 2 meters would zero out the forces and further confirm the curvature. You're saying you could raise these either way, yank down on the line, and it would what am I saying? It would, I guess it'd just be a straight line at 10 kilometers. It'd be straight across, so it would zero it out. Zero out that force that you measure.
He hasn't given us anything new here, has he?
Well, hold on. I think he has, in a sense. Maybe not totally new. Maybe someone has thought of this before, but I think this is a direction that we should consider more. So if flat or zero curvature, then the force vectors below would only ever be away from the... Oh, I'm getting some feedback. There we go.
Testing.
If flat or zero curvature, then the force vectors below would only be away from the surface or up. So if it's a flat Earth, you yank on these things, the line's going to go up. Right? Now, what he's measuring, and I think this is what's different from what we've been thinking about.
Oh,
is,
hold on.
Okay.
It's not going to go up.
Yeah, it will.
Are you talking about measuring the downward force or the up force?
The line will go up.
No, it won't go up. It'll stay where it was.
On a flat Earth, it's not. That's what I was trying to explain to you. On a flat Earth, all these poles are a meter high. It's still just going to be. I mean, you're going to pull it tight, but it's not going to actually go up.
Yeah.
No. I don't know what you guys are talking about. So if the middle of the line, see how he's got the middle of the line touching the middle of the Earth in between the poles, and then you yanked on that line.
No, he's still working from a curve. The line won't go up or down. It will stay where it was.
Why would it stay where it was?
Because there's no forces up or down.
No, you're pulling on the ends, so the line would have to move up.
No, it wouldn't move up. It would stay where it was.
On a flat Earth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would it
It's
stay
an
where?
assumption.
Why would it stay where it was? I'm not getting it.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
all the Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So if the line is just drooping down onto the Earth and a meter each side, yeah, of course, yeah, it's going to go up. Yeah, but there's an assumption here that there's a globe.
No, there's not. What are you talking about?
Okay,
he's showing how it would work on both. That on a globe it would go down when you pulled it, and on a flat Earth the line would try to go up to be at that even
I would have
altitude.
to agree with Brandon on this one.
I agree. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. I was a bit premature there. Go ahead.
If the line is drooping already in the bottom picture to begin with, when you pull it up, of course it has to go up to meet the level of the people pulling it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I was wrong.
Okay.
If you have all the scales, and all the ends of the line all the same height, and you pull it tight, it's just going to go straight. It's never going to go.
Carry on,
never gonna
Brandon.
go.
He means up from the center droop.
Yeah, from the center. Yep.
Okay.
So-
Maybe it
so-
might if you could.
Carry on, Brandon.
So let me
ahead.
just kind of walk through this a little more so that we don't lose people. I'll just take it step by step. That's why I put these slides together, to try to just get us all on the same page here. So obviously, if we had these 3 points, A, B, and C, on a curved Earth, A, B, and C, they're the same altitude, right? Doesn't matter what altitude. We'll just say all these three are the same altitude, but they don't lay on the same plane and can't be connected with a straight line. Whereas on a flat Earth, they are, if they're the same altitude, they do lay on the same plane and can be connected with a straight line, right?
Yeah.
So here's the lines. If we were to pull that line taut, and it could go through the Earth on a curved Earth, A and C would be connected and B would be above it. This is assuming that the A and C are at the ground level, right? If we raise it up, obviously it's different. On flat, you could connect all of them if you pulled it tight. That's all these are saying.
Yeah, the bottom one could easily be thought. When you want to fold a sheet, you and your wife are on one side or the other, and the sheet is like you're holding it up to your waist, and the sheet is touching the ground. When you pull that sheet, isn't it going to go up in the middle? It's that simple.
Yeah.
The fitted sheets, I just crumple up and throw in a drawer.
Okay.
They're too hard.
Carry on, Brandon.
Yeah.
Carry on, Brandon.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's a good description of it, Essie. So I made my own little slides here to help me think through this. Hopefully these help other people understand it. And I've put a 3 mile distance on here. That was just helping me think about it, because I always think about doing stuff at 3 miles. But Whitesword actually wanted to do at 10 kilometers, and he had some reasons for that he can explain when he joins us. But essentially, this is the 3 miles. Here's B in the center. You'd put some kind of pulley scale where you could measure the upward force in the center, maybe at multiple points. I'm just showing 1 point here. And then you'd have these posts. You'd somehow, hang the line over the posts. I'm sure you'd have to have some kind of thing here so that the line didn't get caught on the post, right? Like a wheel or something that it could travel over. And then you'd have a couple of winches, and you would just winch the line. On a flat Earth, obviously, this has to come up just like the sheet that you pull between you. And it would rise, hopefully, towards the 18 inches elevation. We'll talk one of the reasons that this would be difficult among a couple. But that's what would happen on a flat Earth.
Is this the measuring the upward force one?
Yeah, this is measuring upward force from the center. Yep.
All right, the upward force one I like, because that would right straight away immediately falsify the globe. There's no way it would go up, it would go down. The question is, can you actually make it go up by pulling it tight?
Exactly. So on this, at 3 miles, the Sagittarius is 18 inches. It's 1.5 feet. So that's why I've chosen these numbers. But you could design it differently, and we can talk about different ways to design it if people are interested. This line on a globe would never, ever go up.
Ever.
Nope, ever. If there was force, if you pulled on this and were able to get this line tight, and there was force that went up away from the surface, away from the 0 point, that's it. The globe is falsified, or at least curvature at that particular location is falsified. We got to be careful of making things universal. But that would tell me...
Well, their radius was wrong.
Yeah.
Sure.
At least for that location, I mean, that's what they could fall back on is, well, it's not a ball right there. The gravity's different, but
Yeah, but it's
whatever.
water though. It's still water though. The water's got to be curving everywhere. It doesn't matter. You're not going to have a flat spot of water.
I'm just saying you
right?
could, it's all open to interpretation. They could say something like there's differential gravity. The nutsack, the ball sack Earth that they have, the multicolored nutsack Earth.
Yeah, this would need to be done over and over in different locations. I agree.
It has to be done on different locations, has to be done east to west, south to north, multiple hemisphere, it's got to be repeated, just like anything else.
Is
Yeah.
that your final slide?
No, I'm sorry. So on a sphere, this would be the natural position if you were to pull it tight, which would be the center touching the ground. So you could measure the force going in the opposite direction. And actually, I think this is a better design for this personally, where you elevate the line, have the scale underneath it, pull it tight, and if it doesn't put any pressure on there, if the pressure doesn't increase on this scale, then that would indicate flat and globe. But if you got the line in place, you could mess with all of these different permutations.
Do you have his picture up right now?
No, I have one of my pictures up.
Is that your final slide?
I've got another slide, but we don't have to get into it. Okay, well, let me just show this. So I did a little scaled down chintzy version of this, and I put the scale in the middle, 2 books, and hold the top all at the even altitude, pull the line tight across it, 0 pounds, elevated the middle scale, pulled the line tight, it registered a force in the middle. It's as simple as that.
What was your conclusion then?
My for this one, that the center point is raised up above the 2 endpoints.
Can you bring can you bring White's image up real quick? The picture he sent you with all the different points.
Yeah.
All right. Now, you got it up?
I got it up.
All right. First of all, shouts out to Point G. All right. That's all Rumpus had to do the other day. Second of all, if he can make those scales register more weight than the rope weighs, I think that would falsify flat Earth. No.
Here's the thing. This is what I was trying to say.
I know heads don't want to hear that, but
well, that's what I was trying to say with, yeah, if you could get these scales to register more than the rope weight when you yanked on it, yes, that would falsify flat Earth. In my opinion.
We have Khan with George here. What's your opinion?
Oh, he just dropped back out.
I thought for sure Rumpus was gonna bust in like the Kool-Aid man any second.
Somebody will be in here. Don't worry about that.
Don't say the name Rumpus.
Right. One of the issues with having a line this long is obviously the sag in the line, the weight of the line itself, which makes it difficult to pull it tight.
Hey, Brandon, I have a suggestion regarding looking at your observation. You know, based on the ball model, two poles on their ball model claim to be perpendicular and parallel, right? They claim that they want, you know, it's going to be a 90-degree wherever you are on the ball because it's going towards the center, right? Well, if that's true, then that means that a distance between 1 mile, you have those 2 posts, and you have a cut length of string with 2 weights on the end of the string. Like you said, the string is going over a pulley over 2 poles, right?
Yep.
And so what will happen is if you have that one length of string with 2 weights on the end of them, going over each pulley of each pole, what will happen is between the poles, the sagittal will rise up, and the bow of the string, because you'll get a bow, right? And so instead of trying to pull the string tight, figure how much the bow would be above the sagitta between those 2 points. Do you understand? So in constructing a bridge, they'll have 2 pillars, and they'll have the rope that's a bow between those 2 pillars. Well, that rope will be a certain length, right, between the 2 pillars. You follow?
Yeah. So you're saying kind of calculate the sag into it.
Well, what I'm saying is that if you have 2 points and you have 2 pulleys on them, and you have let's say in a shorter distance, let's say it's a mile in this case, which will be pretty hard because you're gonna have to calculate. You'd have to you see what I'm saying? If you have 2 weights on the end of the string, this is obviously a visual thing. It'll be hard to do over a mile with a string and 2 weights on it, let alone any other distance. But you see what I'm saying? So between the 2 points, if indeed it's curved, those 2 weights will be equal tension on either side, right? And then you'll get a natural bow. And if the Earth is curved, you'll have a different measurement between a chord and a sagittal between that bow of the string and you know what I'm saying, the dip of the string, based on the 2 weights, the tension it's creating. The curve of the Earth will interfere with that, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, the idea behind this one isn't to measure the shape or anything or the distance above or below the line. It's more about measuring the force that pulling the line puts on the which direction the force is. But I do get what
If
you're
you're
saying.
measuring the upward force, and you can actually pull that string tight enough to make it go up in the middle, you falsified the globe. I would say same thing with the flatter. If it's flat and you put more weight on the scales when you're measuring the downward force and the rope even weighs, that'd be hard to justify on a flat Earth. That's,
Yeah, on a flat Earth, if you pulled this line, this scale's below 18 inches. That line should only ever want to go up. So if the force should not increase downwards if you're pulling on this line at all. It doesn't necessarily even have to be perfectly tight, and you can zero it out when you get the line in place, get it somewhat tight, whatever the force is on that scale, make that your 0 point, and then start putting the pressure on the scale. That force should decrease on a flat Earth and increase on a globe.
See, I don't like that zeroing the scale out.
Why?
You just said.
Why?
Because we're trying to see, we got all the rope at the same levels, and we're trying to see if we can make the line pull the weight up, but we're gonna pull it and then zero it out after. Why?
No, you're gonna zero it out before you start pulling.
Oh, all right, yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna say, okay, yeah, just the rope sitting on it without us pulling on it.
Yeah, all right.
It weighs this much, and then when you start pulling on it, that should either decrease or increase.
All right.
Just to fine tune the image, you would have the wenches on each side going down to the center of an alleged Earth as well. You've got a curved land there.
Yeah. These would be curved. Yeah.
I'm being pedantic there.
I know. I knew somebody was going to be pedantic there. I thought about turning. You're the guy, Mark.
Okay.
Fair enough, though.
I can take it.
There we go.
George.
I mean, honestly, if you get the line out, you could do both of these. But I'd like to do the one where you measure the upward force, because that one would immediately falsify the globe, no questions.
See, I think this one has a lot of potential where you have the scale kind of somewhere in the middle, because it takes the pressure off of the rope. It holds some of that weight, and then you're just measuring the difference in the force when you start pulling it. But I think you could do both of them. Once you get the line in place, you could do both.
You could to fine tune. You could have intermittent scales on either side of it as well, couldn't you?
Yeah, definitely. You could put some more scales like here.
Yeah, and that would take up the weight of the line itself.
That's how he's got it in his too. He's got 5 scales, I think.
Yeah.
Point G. Shouts out to Point G.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to hear what what White's Word has to say, because he has obviously been putting a lot of thought into this. I know he mentioned that he had already talked to an engineer friend or family member or something and gotten their opinion. So excited to hear what he has to say. But does anybody have any thought? Does anybody think that this is feasible?
Well, George, is it? Where's the flaws in this, George?
Oh, somebody's roboting. I think it's Data.
Data, you're roboting.
George, what do you think? Do you think this is feasible, George?
Could we get a 3-mile string to
I'm
pull
not
up
going to
off the
weigh
ground?
in because I've already discussed this. This is no different than what was proposed by Jaron Campanello over a year ago, Ranty a while back. You've all been talking about this string test. Go and do it.
No, this is different. We're measuring the force.
No, it
We're
isn't.
not measuring. Yeah, it is. This
All
is
we need to do is get it, George. If
The
we
results are going to be the same. You have to have the line go through the water or lift out of the water. Whether
Oh,
you're measuring
George.
force or you're measuring drop distance or whatever, it's the same test. So just
No.
go and do it. Quit jawing about it.
George, if we had a 3 mile long line and we pulled tight on both ends, could we get that line to lift up in the middle just from pulling it tight? You got me blocked.
I've answered this many times before. There's no point me going through it again.
It's just yes or no, real quick.
Go and do it. Find out.
Okay, George. All right.
Okay.
Thanks for your input.
We're predicting what it will happen. What would you predict would happen, George?
I predict it will show an upward force. 100%.
In the middle. Me too.
Sounds like it's unanimous on the panel.
We're all biased anyway.
I mean, I'm just wondering if we could.
No, you're not unanimous. I have not weighed in on it.
I'm just wondering if we could get a 3 mile line to even pull up in the middle, though. You know what I'm saying, Brandon?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. See, yeah, Jaron and them, they didn't do the sinking it and trying to pull it to see if it'd come up, or put it in the middle to see if it'd pull up or down. That's what they lacked. I tried getting them the message, but I was new to this shit, and I didn't know how to get them the message. I just tried doing it in their chat during Glowbusters, but I'm like, they're about to go out there and they're doing it wrong, in my opinion. So this has a chance, George, I think. And we're going to do it soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've neglected weighing in on it. I think anything to do with pulling strings at a distance of 15,000 feet is going to be fruitless.
For me, I don't even.
You don't think?
Hello, I don't even weigh in on this because it's like watching Fraggle Rock to me. I don't know if you
We all
remember
love it.
Rock, but you know.
We all love Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, it's a good
I
show.
do too. I'm watching the Fraggles go.
It's very true, Jimbo.
Does anybody think we can't make the 3 mile line pull up in the middle just from pulling it tight?
This is just it. Even if we have to go real tedious and make the line buoyant and use floats and stinks and, dude, we're humans, man. We got brains. We can find a way to make that fucking line buoyant.
Exactly.
As long as we're not afraid of the result.
Why no? Why would we be afraid of the result, guys?
Yeah, because
we're looking for these.
If you make the test,
if anybody's ever flown in an airplane, then you shouldn't be worried about the result. There's no dip, no drop. Anybody's been in a hot air balloon or a helicopter, there's no dip, no drop.
We know. Yeah, we know.
Go ahead, Mark. I think you got cut off.
Yeah, it's just, is this confirmation bias that we're confirming what we already believe, or are we prepared to say, well, the line does actually cut through the, what do you call it, the agita or
the agita?
Yeah. I mean,
well, if we could, Mark, would you agree that if we could put more weight on the line, on the scales at all those points, and the line even weighs? I mean, that would tell me it's a globe right there.
I don't even need a line and all these tests to know that when I go to Britannia Beach and I'm scoping out the beach at Katana, wow, there's no curve, and that's 6 miles. End of story. Line in the water, digging trenches. No.
Yeah, we want something tangible.
Optics, the right place. Today's equipment and stuff, you see more than 6 miles. This is nonsense.
Yeah, why are you guys using, like, dude, they use chains and steel beams to measure the Earth before, right? You're doing the same method as
about it and do it.
But it's a bluff on our part as well, because we haven't done it.
Well, then put your money where your mouth is, all of you, and get it done.
Well, you know, I know you guys are all fucking want us to just go out and do something, but we're trying to get an idea that will be a complete fucking waste of time. I don't know.
I don't even comment.
We're in the middle of.
Has that ever stopped you
If I
before?
had a 3 mile body of water column around here, I'd have did it 1,000 times, man. The only spot I have to do it is not close to here, and it's not always calm, dude. It's circumstantial. So if I had help just sitting around all the time, I'd be able to do it also, man. When the tide calmed down, and so if I lived on a canal, if I had a long canal, or there was one around Jacksonville, Florida, I promise I'd have been done it. And I promise, man, I will. If nobody beats me to it, I will get it done. I did it over a little bit of a distance, man, and I don't know, man. Don't give up faith, y'all. Don't give up complete faith, man. We will get
I'm
it.
lucky I got a narrow, long body of water that doesn't have a tide. It's fresh water. It's about a mile by almost like total of like over 15 to 20 miles in total lengthwise I can get east to west.
We've shown the globe side lasers going over 10 miles and said, yep, there you go. There's absolute proof. And they've come back with refraction. And
I
this
show
knocks
my
the
return
refraction out of the loop, and then
12
we don't have
miles.
no more arguing about refraction after this with lights or laser beams or observations.
Yeah,
that's why we're trying to do. That's
Yeah,
why we're trying to do something tangible so that we don't have to argue about refraction anymore.
Correct. So forcing the line is the ultimate test. What we're doing at the moment is pontificating that this is what will happen. We've got to be prepared to say, oh, holy God, yeah, it is a globe, or George is going to have to say, yep, it is flat.
Yeah, exactly. I think we just need agreement that what the results, if there was,
Hey guys,
what the results would mean. That's all. That's all we need
why
agreement
not
on.
do a LiDAR? Because LiDAR involves a drone and very precise topographical measurements, almost see through the earth type of measurements. But it will definitely give you a 3D, very planar run of however many miles you do with your LiDAR. I got a 1,200 mile LiDAR shot of the north. So if you only need a few miles, it's not out of the question.
Hey, I got something. What's the name of that? The Hadron Collider. What's the name of that?
Thank
CERN?
you for letting me finish. I do appreciate it.
Sorry, I thought you.
What are you proposing this test over, Brandon? Is it 10 miles or 10 kilometers, is it?
That's what White's Word wants to do it over 10 kilometers. I think that it could be done over a shorter distance. 10 kilometers is going to be very
3 miles
difficult.
would do it. 3
So
miles would
do you plan on doing this like beside a body of water or something?
That you could,
Or
but I think if as long as you have flat land, relatively flat,
exactly.
and you can use a water
like,
level,
You could go out to the salt flats and do it.
Exactly, that'd be a perfect place, I think. Yeah, you could find a perfect place. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Hey, check this out, y'all. What's the name of that? They claim has a 2 mile arm. The 2 mile arm in New Orleans or in Louisiana.
LIGO.
Yeah. So if it is indeed flat, I got no reason to doubt that. So what we do is we take the line that we're going to use and go get somebody to pull it over LIGO over 2 miles and see how much it's sagging over a known flat area. See how much sag we get with however certain many pounds of pressure, and then go pull it over a body of water. So if it's like 4 foot of sag over 2 miles, just theoretically with a certain amount of pounds, then we can compare it to the water.
I wouldn't be so sure that line's even straight at LIGO. Do you know what they do inside there?
No, that line's got to be straight, dude. I'd be shocked if it was.
Good
Large
luck getting on top of LIGO and pulling a straight line for starters.
Yeah. You can't even see the laser beam the whole way through. All you can see is the end caps of it, a few feet at the end.
We've got the Rumpus with us. Hi, Rumpus.
Hey, let me say one more thing before I forget. Hi, Rumpus. In order to make the line, take some of the weight off, I know I've joked around about this before, but you could add several small helium balloons along the length of the line to counteract the weight of the line and get rid of some of the sag of that pressure, the weight of the line.
Yeah, but how would we know how much?
So another thing that they offer.
You can calculate how much helium would be required per the weight of the length of line and get it pretty close. As long as we get most of the weight counteracted, I think that would be fine.
Yeah, we'd have to have
It
helium
doesn't
on
any
site. Trial and
sag
error.
go in favor of the globe, though.
But that's that pressure that those balloons are going to put on it. Bandsaw is nothing compared to when you tighten that puppy up and put,
No, but what I'm saying is any sort of sag that you're going to get whatsoever that's going to register on that scale is going to go in favour of the globe anyway. It's going to add extra force on top of the scale. So
he's talking about measuring the upward. He's talking about measuring the upward one. Doing that, right?
Oh, sorry, Joe. Okay, yeah. All right, Joe. Yeah.
The upward one falsifies the globe. If you measure the upward force, it's
exactly, yes.
Hello, Rumpus.
Hello.
Rumpus. Let me get.
No, I'm talking about putting it in the middle, so it'll falsify either one of them. If we put it in the middle of what it's supposed to be, it's got to go up to prove a flat Earth. It's got to go down to prove a globe. It can't. If it's just still, it don't prove shit.
Yeah, this one
right
right
here. If it gets a little force up, it proves the flat Earth. Yeah.
Guys, let me get three. Can I get 3 minutes with Rumpus, or do you want to finish this up?
I want to go at him as well.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hey,
Go
Rumpus,
ahead.
You okay?
Yeah, not too bad.
Okay, Rumpus. So we've had lasers and we've had Lumi.
The
and
Earth
we've had Black
is
Swan,
very
and
flat.
Neither side has shifted. Is this forcing the line a more absolute argument for the shape of the Earth?
It's interesting, actually. Yeah, well done for thinking on those lines. The only I haven't seen it all, but I've seen bits of this, and I've seen the basic idea is semi-sensible. But the problem is going to be, and actually the last picture I just saw Brandon put up actually could resolve the thing I was going to say. What will happen, of course, is that it's going to just droop onto the ground. If you only have it, 18 inches high or whatever, and obviously because I happen to know the Earth is a globe, as most people do, then unfortunately it's just going to lay on the ground. So there would be no change. There would be no movement. But
you're so predictable.
But well, yeah. But hold on. Let me just. But Brandon's idea, actually, I mean, I suspect that this is totally impractical. But if you could raise it up such there were no sag, so you had a constant elevation, for instance, along this line, then yes, if you were to then apply some tension, then that would cause it to go up or down depending on the shape of the Earth. But if you didn't raise it up, unfortunately, hold on. But unfortunately, if you didn't, it's just going to droop to the ground, and to make it not just drag, basically just be something that's laying on the ground, which therefore won't do anything. You'd have to raise it up, and obviously you can't put sufficient tension on it, otherwise it will break. But if you raised it up, of course, then there's a limit to how much you've got to raise it up before you start getting above it on the Earth. So you've got to, and so unfortunately, to get it so that it's not touching the ground, you'd have to lift it up so far. But if you could do what Brandon's actually drawn here, and actually raise the rope up such that it was at a constant elevation. So, of course, you could check that. If you had it next to some water, you could actually go along it and say, oh, look, the rope is, a foot above the water all the way along. Wow. And then when you apply the tension, it would then go up or down, dependent on what the shape of the Earth is.
You like the balloon idea? Is that what I'm hearing? You like the balloon idea?
I must admit, it sounds insane, but in principle, and there's always, of course, there's a thing, then, George, there's a difference between the geometry being correct, the physics being correct, and the practice.
Yeah, right.
And whether or not you could, but if you could suspend, I mean, I suppose it is conceivable. If you've got enough balloons, I mean, it must be. I mean, you must be able to raise the balloons up. I mean, if you have enough of them, balloons lift things up, and so if you have enough of them, then. But obviously, you want to avoid.
What's the air ratio? What's going to be the air ratio for it?
Oh my God, Rumpus, you're starting to become stupid.
Thanks, George.
I'll agree with George on this one.
Rumpus, the problem is droop. Is that the problem?
Yes, because what will happen if you do restrict it as the initial diagram is with the 18 inches, or whatever, so that you can, in other words, detect the difference between pulling up and pulling down. The rope is just going to sag, and it will just touch the ground. You've got this. I think was it 3 kilometers or something. After a few hundred yards, it will just droop onto the ground, and if you try and tension it such that it won't, you'll just snap it. So, and then if it's just lying on the ground, and then you pull it, it's not going to affect any force in the middle at all. You'll just get nothing either way.
Yeah, but when we first started this argument, they said over 60 feet it would hit the ground. If it was a foot and a half over the ground, they said 60 feet it touched the ground, and I proved that over 570 feet, you can't even see it. You can't even see it.
Yeah, you got it right that time.
Well, we need to use
Rumpus, real quick.
Oh, go ahead, man.
Hold on, Brandon, real quick. How would we know when there's too much? If we put too much buoyancy on the line, how would we know?
Well, you could, as I say, if you did this alongside a canal, you could actually measure the height of the rope above the canal. So you could then
what?
Well, then you've established that the rope is either following the straight line or following a curve. So if you just make it such that you go along and just keep on measuring,
and then we pull it tight.
Yeah, then you pull it tight. Yes, and providing your things are only 18 inches, they're low, like you've got in this diagram. I can't remember what the drop. So if you're doing this over 5 miles, then the drop would be the bulge is 1/4 of the drop. So, oh God, whatever. It's 1/4 of the drop, isn't it? So if you had it at 5 miles, so what's that? 8 inches to 25 times 8 is
3 miles is 18 inches.
200 inches. So yeah, so providing 1/4 of that is 50 inches. So yeah, so providing it was less than 50 inches, the things on the end, then it would pull it down on the Earth, and it would pull it up on a flat Earth.
So we get the balloons. Okay, here, let me get it straight. Hold on, Brian. The balloons. We got all these balloons suspending the line 18 inches over the water for 3 miles. It's 18 inches the whole way across. Then we pull it tight.
Yeah.
Then we pull it tight. And if it goes down, it's a globe.
On the globe. And if it goes up.
And if it does, why would it go up? It wouldn't go up.
Sorry, if you maintain, if you maintain 18 inches, yes. If you maintained the 18 inches of the things on the end, yes, it would just stay where it was. Yeah.
All right. Either
Sorry,
prove or disprove flat Earth if we had all these fucking birthday party animal balloons on the thing.
That's not fair. That's not fair to the globe, man. I want to do a test that'll be fair both ways. There are a lot of people, man. There are people who are pretty sure it's flat, but not completely. Scientific people with skeptic bones in their body, like me, Brandon, Jeremy. We're pretty sure it's flat. We want to test it. We're going to be fair about it. Then you got people who are sure it's curved, like Rumpus and George and them. But then you got some globers that would have an open mind and ain't damn certain it's a globe or damn certain it's curved. Look, I understand picking a side, but let's be fair.
Hold on, whoa, we're getting ahead of ourselves. It doesn't matter. It has to go down on a globe, balloons or not. It has to go down. That would falsify flat Earth.
Yeah, but if it doesn't go down, and you say, okay, it's flat, it didn't go down. That it could also. There's a million things you could say. The test could be.
Okay, let's.
More.
Let's pretend we did this, Rumpus. We just did the test. It didn't go down. There was no birds pooping. What's your excuse?
It would be quite difficult to come up with an excuse. I mean,
I'm sure you would. I'm sure you, given enough time, I'm sure you could come up with.
It'd be very difficult. It'd be very difficult. I mean, obviously, there's things like wind, and there's obviously how. I mean, it never fails to amaze me how someone like, for instance, Anthony Riley went off to measure the slope of a bloody thing in St. Bees in Cumbria, and I tried to go through all the stupid things he might do. And then I didn't consider that he might just pull this post back.
He's not here to defend himself.
I don't care.
Talking about people who aren't here.
Before we get crazy.
Be quiet.
Before we get crazy, Rumpus.
Find ways of doing things wrong that I can never believe. So if you did this in a semi-competent fashion, then I can't think at the moment. And in print, because it's geometrically and physically correct, I can't think. It would have to be some practical issue, like someone wasn't pulling something, or you didn't have the balloons set up, or the line wasn't straight, or the post wasn't in the right height. Something like that. It would have to be an execution error. But I mean, you would have thought it'd be pretty simple. I mean, all you've got to do is to set the post at 18 inches or whatever, and then you can simply measure the line all the way along. So it's quite difficult on this one, even for a flatty to get it wrong, I have to say.
There we go.
I'm doing it in the water with bobs, with little bobs. Or you could use balloons in the water, but you need the real small bobs, and maybe even some split shots for weights if you to even it out. Whatever. It'd be tedious. It'd take some help, but we got to do it in the water where it's got to go up or down. It's got to go one way or another. It doesn't have to go way up. It's just got to go a millimeter up or a millimeter down. We got to find the middle ground.
Brian, you could do a little practical test.
That's the way I would do it.
You could do a little, and what's more, you could do a little practical test, Brian. You could get, say, 100 yards of the rope you think you might use, and then see how many balloons per 100 meters or whatever distance you want to try it on, how many it takes to keep up, and you could, so without too much cost, you could actually find out whether it was possible or not.
I
have the proof of concept, to do that, and I have the helium and the balloons. I have everything I need to do that, but
really, well, there you go. So you wouldn't have to do too much effort to check its possibility. But obviously, I mean, when you're building something that's 3 miles long, whatever, 5 miles long, I mean, this is when things get, you find new problems when things get bigger, always. And I can't think, and all the problems, for instance, that, I mean, George tried to have done a number. George.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Rumpus, but now that you stopped, White's Word, who came up with this concept, has joined the voice chat, so I want to give him a chance to speak. I don't know if how you doing, White's Word?
I'm very well, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
We
pretty
hear
good. A
ya.
little low, but I think I can turn you up.
Yeah, please do. I can't adjust it from where I am, from what I know.
All right, how's it going? Did you catch the presentation we just gave? We went over your sheet and then my slides.
Brandon butchered it.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm
look,
sure he
I
thinks
saw a little bit of
that.
I just want to mention that the minute we start pulling tension on this line, there is no attempt to even try and raise it off of the ground. The minute there is tension, forces are in play. They're either going to be up and down based on whether we're above or below that point on the Earth.
Yeah.
So you can't argue with it.
Well, the trouble is, if you do not suspend them, then the rope will just lie on the ground. If you only have it 18 inches at either end, by a few hundred yards, it will be lying on the ground, and therefore there'll be nothing to detect in the middle.
Well, he's got a little different. Whitesword has a set up a little differently, where he's got 1 meter on each end, and then 10-kilometer distance. So that might give you a little different dynamics, but I'll let you speak for yourself.
Put Whitesworld's pick up for Rumpus.
It's already
I want
up.
Rumpus to know.
It's already up.
Oh,
I can see
Rumpus,
it.
you see how he wasn't scared to draw point G on there? Fuck is wrong with you?
I can see you two take it seriously, Jeremy.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
We hear you.
Okay, fantastic. So can you put my picture back up?
Yep, it's up.
Or I'll just wait for it.
Are you looking on YouTube or are you looking on Discord? You can see my screen
I'm
on
on
Discord.
YouTube, mate. Should I be on Discord?
Yeah, you can see it more quickly.
You'll just be 30 seconds behind if you watch the YouTube stream, but either one.
Awesome. No worries. Discord join stream. Is that what I'm doing? Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Look,
First of all,
basically, so over the 10 kilometers.
Yep, go ahead.
At each end from the 5 kilometer center mark, there's 1.96 meters. So if we put our posts at 1 meter, then we're always going to be below that center point on a curved Earth. So the very second forces are applied on that slack line, tension will come up and it will only want to go down. There is no attempt to try and pull it tight or snap the line. It is just under tension.
Yeah, but I'm telling you,
Obviously,
it will be lying on the ground.
Yeah, and the forces will be pulling into the ground as it tries to pull.
No, it'll
below
just be
the
lying on the ground, and all the tension will just go into pulling the rope around on the ground. It will not be transmitted because it'll be taken up by dragging it around on the ground, and nothing will get to the center point.
There's no dragging, Rumpus. The line's laid out perfectly straight. It doesn't have to drag.
It'll sag, and it'll then touch the ground. And then it'll be just lying on the ground like a loose rope, as though someone laid it down.
It starts off lying on the ground. So there is no sag, and it won't lie on the ground. It's already there, Rumpus.
Right, but I'm saying if it's it's already lying on the ground, okay. But when you pull it, it will not because it's just lying on the ground. All you'd be doing is rearranging it on the ground, and all the tension forces would just simply be used up in tensioning it prior to the middle bit. It will not get as far as the middle bit.
Okay, so you're trying to say that if a line is pulled below a point, then there's no force down on that line.
Well, there's friction on the ground. You know, you're pulling it.
That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant.
It isn't. Look, if I laid down a rope, okay, put it like this: if I laid down a rope that was a mile long on the ground, say a half an inch thick, and I asked you to pull it, and I got a force meter at the other end of that mile rope, it would not detect you pulling on it, because all the frictional forces on the rope would just be used up in friction on the ground.
Do you appreciate that that's in the opposite direction to the forces we're measuring?
Well,
we're measuring linear, vertical forces.
Yeah, but it won't get that far. It'll all be used up in pulling it horizontally on the ground. It'll be laying on the ground. You've just said. Hold on. Let me just try this again. If I were to lay a rope that's a mile long on the ground and asked you to pull it as hard as you could, at the other end of that mile, no forces up or down or horizontal or whichever way you wanted to measure it would detect that you were trying to pull it mile away along the ground.
Bullshit. That's bullshit.
No, that's the completely wrong way to look at it. I'm not saying we're trying to pull this line across the beach. We're pulling at both ends just to create tension.
I know.
The minute any force is applied, there will be other forces at play, either up or down.
You're
If you're
forgetting
going to
about
deny that,
friction.
that's just dishonest.
You just admitted that the rope would be lying on the ground. If you pulled it, it would not transmit those forces to a mile away. It would all be used up in frictional forces on the ground in between.
Assuming
Okay,
there's no friction,
Rumpus, are
though.
you thinking of like a 4-inch thick rope or some crap?
No, I was thinking, I don't know, half inch
braided
core.
line.
I don't know what sort of sort of line are you
not
thinking
half
of?
inch.
What are you thinking
Very,
of?
very fine line. Very
Right,
strong,
okay, some
very fine
monofilament
line.
thing.
It's used in long line fishing. They do it for
Okay.
28 miles. Okay, the force is ridiculous. It can pull up all sorts of fish on it.
Yeah,
You
through
can't question
water.
the strength. Oh my god.
Okay, all right then. You could prove this. Okay, you could demonstrate this was working. Okay, I mean, you could, if you got a line that was your 5 kilometers long, and then we could test it. You could go and we could. Well, I mean, obviously, if you got it, you could test it. But I mean, you could try if you could.
So what we're looking for, Rumpus, what we're looking for is before we test it, we're looking for an agreement that the results will actually mean something.
Okay,
So
if you can
over
transmit.
a 10-kilometer distance, okay?
Okay, if you can transmit, okay, if you can, I mean, I was just warning you, that was all. But if you can transmit a force through this line to something that's laying on the ground 5 kilometers away, I think you've got there, then fine, it would work. Yes, okay. But I'm just saying.
Fantastic.
But I'm just saying, I think it's likely that what will happen with the frictional forces on the ground would mean that it would not transmit. But yes, if you can demonstrate that's what happens, you can register a force there, then great. Okay, yes, then you would have that effect. It would work.
Now this will be measured at 5 separate points over 6 kilometers. So from the center point, and then 1.5 kilometers out each way, and then another one, so 3 kilometers out each way. So none of these points will be above the ground. So all forces, if you have a look, will be directed through the ground. So only will be down. Now, again, if we look at the flat Earth one at the bottom, if you can show that one, at no point, as soon as tension is applied, at no point at all will any forces be down. At all 5 points, which will be calibrated, to measure the linear force, the vertical force, up or down, none of them will ever go down. I'm not for 1 minute suggesting we're going to try and get this off of the ground or pull it tight. It's literally as soon as the tension comes into play, forces are at play, and we will register up or down. That's all. Simple.
Yeah.
It's a full meter above the ground.
Yeah, I agree with you. The only problem I'm saying, the only problem I'm just saying is a
everyone else to agree then, and agree on the results.
Well, I mean, providing the as I say, I've seen so many flat earthers try and do things, and they always get it wrong. But I must admit, this is so simple. It's sorry.
Rumpus, I'm not a flat earther.
Okay.
I don't want to be put into a category as much as I don't really care about the category, but I'm not a flat earther. I'm after just definitive proof. Simple.
Yeah, I mean, you're making sense. You haven't said anything particularly stupid so far, so that's good.
Thank you. I really regard your opinion.
So far you haven't said anything. Yeah, you haven't said anything outrageously stupid. So that's good. And you haven't. Yeah, and your diagram sort of. Yeah, and the only thing is the practical one. I'm just. I mean, I don't know whether fishermen. You say have fishermen got 5 kilometers? In other words, okay. How about this? You're saying that fishermen have used have 5 kilometer lines. Have they done that? You're saying have they used these lines at 5 kilometers long?
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear my question? Have these lines been used at 5 kilometers long?
I'm still sort of belly laughing about your suggestion of putting helium balloons on this fucking line.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't my suggestion. Well, it wasn't. No, it's entirely Brandon's. Entirely Brandon's.
That was Brandon.
You
I was just saying. Sorry.
You agreed with it, Rumpus.
I agreed that in principle.
It's not a bad idea. I like it.
I agreed that in principle.
Yeah, but it's just extra. It's not needed.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it's extra. I know there's probably some terrible problem with wind. There's probably some terrible problem with wind or something. You have to pick a windless day, or there might be some other problem I can't think of. But in principle, But there's a big difference between in principle and in practice. But I'm just saying, in principle, at least in principle, as a first step to getting something to work, is that in principle it would work. Whether in practice it would not. This is something like, you know, this is where you get engineers in. But in principle, it's correct, which is a big step forward from many other flat Earth attempts. Now, this one line you were saying,
I haven't presented this willy-nilly. This is something that's been well thought out and vetted. So this is
yeah. I
I
don't disagree with the principles you're describing. This line, are you saying it's been used over 5 kilometers to catch fish?
So hold on, wait.
I'd very much like to know the answer to that question, please, Jeremy.
Why?
Has it been used over 5 kilometers to pull a fish or something heavy?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait. Let me get this. Wait, let me get the setup straight.
8 miles.
Wait, let me get the setup straight real quick. You got the line. It's laying all on level ground.
When it starts, yes. Yep. When it's slack.
Okay, the line's all on level ground.
Dead straight, but it's slack.
Yeah. So we got the line. It's laying on all level ground. All right. And then when we pull it tight, some of the scales, if it's a globe, all the scales have to register down.
Correct.
But if it's flat, some of them would want to go up, or no?
Yes, definitely.
No, they wouldn't want to go up.
They would.
Where?
All of them.
Force applied will create up.
How? Oh, you're gonna pull them up, lift them up on the ends a little bit, and then pull.
The ends are already lifted up. The ends are at 1 meter high, so you're just lifting up the lines on the ground in between. So when you pull on it on a flat Earth, it would have to go up. That's the only way it could go on a flat Earth.
And like I said before, and I've said in my diagram, with the test for the curvature, we could then raise. I mean, if we do get downward forces, we could then raise points A and G up to the 1.96 meter mark and create that horizontal, and that should very clearly show a reduction in those down forces to a almost neutralized force point. And then if we want to we could then go up to a 3 meter point and then prove that, yes, even further up, we then get vertical forces. So we could definitively prove curvature, and we certainly could prove lack of curvature. Could we say it's completely flat? No. This would have to be repeated all over the place, but this is something that is very affordable and very repeatable. University, places could do this all over the world very easily. It should be done.
Yeah, I like your idea of the transitioning. If it can raise it up, you can actually go from it pulling it down to pulling it up, and that's a very useful sort of engineering principle. But if you've got you want a qualitative change between going up and down, and if you can get that transition, that's also a very, very nice feature.
I'm glad you appreciate that, Rumpus. Again, I regard your opinion highly.
This guy's clearly smarter than you. He put a point G on his fucking drawing. All right, Rumpus.
I tell you what, Jeremy, if I want to convince you of anything, I'll put a point G on it, and you'll be so obsessed with that.
It's too late now. It's too late.
And I use metric too. I don't know if you noticed that, but metric, that's how you do things.
It is how you do things.
No, I had to go away from that.
So, we got the line a meter up off the ground on either side. It's laying on the ground, and then we pull it tight. And on a globe, it should register.
Follow the red lines. Follow the red lines. They start off slack, and then you start to pull tension, and they start to raise. Obviously, I've exaggerated where we're going to get the horizontal line for the flat Earth one. I've exaggerated. But, I mean, even if it comes up one tiny little, Newton of force, it's up, it's not down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what kind of line are you thinking of using whites?
Well, there's different types, but I'm thinking I'll go with braided because it's supposedly stronger.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Some of these lines are 50 miles, and they've got hooks all along them, and they're full of fish, and you can imagine the weight that they're pulling in onto this boat. And, that's so much more than the force that we need to just bring this line under tension. That's all we need.
You know the tensile strength on it?
Got nothing to measure, Newt.
Do you know the tensile strength on any of these lines, or because we were looking at 1100 paracord or 750 or something?
No, I can definitely get the details, but it's extremely strong and more than enough for the forces we're putting on it.
No
There's
doubt.
not even going to be weight on this line, and it's only a few millimeters thick. So although Rumpus has a valid point with the friction in the sand and etc., it is completely negated. This line won't even have really any weight to it over any one of these scales, and whatever weight there is at a neutral point, just slack, we can zero out if we need to on these.
Fantastic.
Well, if you really can transmit force, and it's not, and I suppose a thin nylon monofilament, I suppose is super slippy, so I suppose it'd be a lot less friction than I was thinking. You used to be I was thinking it'd be like sort of 1/4 inch thick or something. But yes, if it can hang in there and it's super slippy, then yes.
Sorry, what the fuck is slippy?
Slippery.
It's not slippery. All right.
Slippery. Yes.
Slippery. All right. My bad.
Super slippy, Jeremy. Get with the program. Come on.
Rumpus, can we record a statement, please, from you? And I don't know if George wants to jump in, that if by chance we manage to pull this off and you all agree that it was done satisfactorily and at water level and everything, are we going to accept these results, or is it
I must admit, at the moment, I can't think of a problem at the moment. And I must admit, it would be quite difficult to create one. But there's a big difference between theory and practice, of course. And as I say, you sound definitely a bit more sensible than the usual, whatever it is. Well, okay, the sort of person offering a sort of flatty sort of thing. So, not, as I say, the ways that flatties do things wrong is just extraordinary. They get wrongs in so much base stuff, but everything you've said so far has been sensible. So yes, I can't see how I could manufacture an objection at the moment.
Stories you guys believe. That's the funny part.
But I can't think of a conceptual problem at the moment. I must admit.
Sounds like we have agreement on what the results would mean.
This sounds good. I was a little confused at first about where the endpoints were going to be compared to the thing, but I think White's cleared it all up for me, and this sounds pretty good. If we get an up force at any of those points, it's over. They should all be down forces pressing down.
Yeah.
All right, now can I get 2 minutes of Rumpus?
Definitive evidence for a while, and I believe this is the first definitive evidence that I would be satisfied with personally.
This is good, White. Nice fucking job, man. All those nights of sitting here arguing about this shit, somebody was fucking listening. Thank God.
Yeah, good job, man. It's really good.
I must say, this beats the cement one, no, guys?
Come on! You didn't like my 2-mile cement fucking column?
No, the best was the
Sorry,
the
guys,
3
I couldn't
columns.
resist that one.
All right, let me get if we got a minute, can I just want to ask Rumpus like 1 or 2 questions real quick. Is that cool with you guys, or?
Yeah.
Well, hold on before we move off of this. So,
my bad.
White, when do you plan on conducting your test?
Look, I would like to do it next week. In all honesty,
holy shit!
It's a time thing, and I want to personally build all of the vertical force meters. I want to build those, so that way I just know what they've got, and everyone's going to be happy with how they work, and we can pre-test them with different forces and make sure they're all calibrated. And it might not. It's probably not going to be next week with work and everything, but it's going to be very soon.
Well, there's no rush, but we need this done by this Thursday.
No worries. Fly over and help me, mate. Fly over and help me. I might need someone to hold the other end.
Fantastic.
Where are you, Australia?
Yeah, mate.
In
right
Australia? We got
Yes,
peoples.
mate, yeah.
What you need, bandsaw or something? Where you at?
yeah,
We got pages down there, bandsaw, fucking.
Got us some people down under.
We got friends in low places.
We got Paige. We got Bandsaw.
We've got quite a few members of the wolf pack around Brisbane.
We got FE, right? FE is Australian.
All right, let me get 2 seconds
on,
to Rumpus, guys.
Hang on. I don't think anyone's got a vaccination passport yet, so no one's travelling anywhere here.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that one.
Be lucky if I'm allowed on the beach if there's more than 4 people.
Dude, I can't leave my house past 8 o'clock.
We all know coronavirus only spreads past 8 p.m., so you'll be fine.
Hey, Rumpus, just a quick question, mate.
Yeah.
Do you believe the stories that we're told about vaccines being safe and effective?
Of course. There are people,
No worries. Thanks.
there are scientists who spend their entire lives checking these things and can actually look and do studies. If they were not to be safe, then they'll be prosecuted. There are institutions around the world that are all agreeing on what's going on, and they're all testing things like crazy. And they're testing
not
on
in the United States, Rumpus.
and they're
Not in the
testing on
United
20,000.
States.
The AstraZeneca is currently undergoing trials in the United States.
No. What I mean is, in the United States, they could not be prosecuted like you're saying. There is a specifically separate set of court systems for vaccinations. I've already proven this. And shown
That's
it
true.
There isn't a debate about that.
Right, okay. Yeah, but
you
they're
literally aren't allowed to. You have to go to the other one to do it.
No,
right.
guys,
I think they have to be indemnified. I think that's what the I think that's what the EU was talking to Pfizer over length, because the EU were Pfizer wanted to be indemnified against those sorts of things, but they're still not going to like being prosecuted. Or whatever system that turns out the vaccine doesn't work. So even though they can't be prosecuted, doesn't mean to say they can be found as having done something wrong. So they'd still suffer reputationally, even if you couldn't get some money out of them for coming up with a crap virus. So I'm afraid your point doesn't work.
Hold on before we spiraled.
Yeah, let Jeremy make
I
his
just want to
point
get 2 minutes. I just want to get 2 minutes with Rumpus real quick.
Hey, Jeremy.
Rumpus, let's say, you know the compression that happens in Soundley's Bridge? Or sorry, not Soundley's Bridge. The hotel room, Soundley's hotel room.
What do you mean by compression? Do you mean perspective compression, or do you mean compression vertically?
The vertical compression at the horizon. There
is no compression vertically.
Do you know how the hotel rooms appear to shrink once they get towards the horizon?
Well, they shrink in perspective.
No, just the rooms near the horizon seem to get smaller in Soundley's.
Right. Well, yeah, you can. Okay, I must.
Hey, somebody's got an open mic shaking something.
Yeah, I think it's white words. I think someone's doing some stuff in the kitchen. I must admit, I haven't looked at that part of it. I must admit, but you do get that sort of thing on the very close to the horizon. You do get occasionally get some compression effects. It's called stooping or towering. So it's
a refraction. Hold on, it's a refraction.
Yeah, due to refraction.
Okay. So now, hold on. Could you tell? How would you know if this was going to happen?
Well, usually you can. If it depends on the temperature, the temperature gradient.
What about it?
Game away. Well, if you've got a sort of normal sort of day with hot sunny weather, you get inferior mirages and you don't get it, but you can get it if you get an inverted temperature gradient. So, for instance, if you get
there's no such thing as an inverted temperature gradient.
Hold on, Travis, please. 2 minutes, bro. 2 minutes.
These have been measured by scientists.
All right.
So if you
hold on.
I thought you wanted a question. Okay.
I do. Yes, I have more questions. Hold on. So let's say we could predict when this is going to happen, right? If I gave you refraction measurements, could you predict this or no?
Well, when you say, what do you mean by refraction measurements? Do you mean the temperature gradient profile?
Temperature, pressure, humidity, yeah.
Well, no, as I think we discussed before, you need to know the temperature at different heights. You need to know the temperature of the water. You preferably need a temperature just a meter or so above that, and then another one about 10 meters above that. And that's the bare minimum.
Where? How often? Could we just get away with doing one in the middle?
Just at either end. You only need two, really. One at each end.
But could we get away with having one in the middle?
George is a pussy.
Sort of, yeah. You'd be almost. It would be almost acceptable, but it's getting a bit dodgy. But it's certainly, if you've got three temperatures at three different heights, that's not bad. But if you really could do with two at minimum, really.
In the middle.
But well, no, you really could do them at either end. But I mean, you could make.
Could you do them with Could you do them with two measurements at different altitudes in the middle?
Well, you need the altitudes for a fact. You need 3 heights. You need 3 altitudes minimum at one spot, and preferably 2.
Yeah. All right.
But they
Thank
don't
you.
have to be at the same time. I mean, for instance, if they were only 20 minutes
Yeah,
apart or
that's
something,
fine.
that'd
That's
be
fine.
fine. So
All
you
right,
don't need to
thanks.
have them simultaneously. If you just had one,
Yeah,
you
that's
know, then
fine.
20 minutes later you had the other one. You went to the other end of
That's
the bridge
fine.
quickly. That would do it.
Okay. Okay. You might want to tell Ruhif how refraction works. Thank you.
Ruhif's pretty good at refraction.
Well, he doesn't know about this, but
He knows all about temperature gradients. He even knows how to work out the formula to
Alright.
get circulating rays. He's even done a video on this
he
about a
thinks
year
you can
ago.
do it. Right. He thinks you can do it with just 2 points.
I think you can, and he does as well, I think.
You just told me you need 3 points minimum.
No, 3 points vertically.
Yeah, vertically. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would say you need 3, but I'm obviously perhaps he's going. He thinks you can do. I mean, but the trouble is, the sort of effect you're talking about requires an inversion, which means you really do need 3. But if you do have normal sort of refraction, which is not. So, for instance, something like the black swan one. There, you would definitely need 3.
I'm sorry,
Jesus
guys.
Christ.
No, hold
Look,
on.
why are
Listen,
you interrupting? Why can't you just wait until I've finished my sentence to
Rumpus,
Jeremy?
I'm not talking to you. Shut up, Rumpus.
Shut up. No, I'm in the middle of talking to
Brian
Jeremy.
Leakey, turn off your camera.
Rude little twat. Shut up. I was in the middle of nearly finished just mentioning things to Jeremy about rude.
I
and then you have a go.
cannot
You
hear-
obnoxious little twat.
Oh my
Why have you
God,
gone to this obnoxious mode? Very unchristian.
Rumpus,
Right. Stop
Rumpus,
being a little git. I'm in the middle of answering Jeremy. I was about 5 seconds away from
Rumpus, I
finishing.
cannot hear you. Okay, shut the fuck up. I cannot hear you. Shut
You
up.
can't- Well, I'm talking to Jeremy and he can hear me.
Shut
No,
up.
you shut up. I'm talking to
Brian.
Jeremy. Be quiet.
Brian, turn
I'm
off
talking
your
to
camera.
Jeremy.
It's messing with my bandwidth.
To be quiet. I'm talking to Jeremy. You be quiet and wait till I've finished. Jeremy,
Okay, just
I
relax.
think. Right, Ruhif, I think he was talking about typical situations. If you've got the black swan situation, then you really need 3 because it sort of bends around. He's not quite as familiar with this stuff as I am, but he's pretty good.
Right.
But he's
Rumpus,
not. This is quite involved what I'm talking about here.
Rumpus, me and you both know you could not tell anything about the way the light's bending from just having 2 points, two refraction measurements taken from the middle.
Well, no, I did say either end. I said you got confused. I
Yeah.
said 2 points either end.
So not that you can
So,
never tell anything from the middle.
Let's
You
say
can
it
never
again.
tell anything from the middle, right?
What you would need as a minimum, as far as I regard, particularly if you've got strange refraction situations, is 3 heights at either end. Okay, is that clear?
Right.
So you
Oh,
need
yeah,
6
that's
points.
perfectly clear to me. Yeah,
Great. Okay.
I think you need more than that, but I mean,
Yeah, that's a bare minimum.
Ruhif's under the impression that you could do it with just 2 points at different elevations in the middle.
You could if you
don't try to save him now. You just told.
No,
you just fucking told us you need 3
No,
different.
I did say, when you asked me that originally, I did say, well, it was dodgy, but you could just about do it. I would say as a comfortable minimum, you would want 2 points at either end, but you could at least have some idea what the hell's going on. But 2 points is not enough to detect something like the black swan situation.
Points at either end. 2 points at either end, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so you
What
want
about
3 heights.
what if I just had 2 points in the middle? Is there any? Could I tell anything?
Well, no, you might as well not bother with having more than 1. If it's only separated by a few meters or something, then that's not really worth doing. You might as well just have 1. I mean, it would help, I suppose, but preferably you want it at one end and the other end of 3 points. But you could get away. You could, as a dodgy one, you could get away with 1 in the middle, but I wouldn't be happy with it. But you could do that at least, and then try it. But I'd be uncomfortable with it. But you could do it.
All right, that's all. I don't want to take up the whole show with this. Go ahead, guys. Thanks, Rumpus.
Yeah. So let me just make a point real quick.
Why are
Rumpus,
you being such a rude wanker these days, Travis?
Okay, listen. I could
just being
not
a complete git at the moment. Why?
I could.
Have you had a car accident or something
Shut
recently?
the fuck up!
Or have you had some problem with your bloody
I'm trying
observation?
to answer your question.
Rumpus, come on.
What? Why you're a wanker?
Yeah.
Are you okay? Go ahead. Why are you a wanker?
I could not. I could not hear either Jeremy or you because someone had their camera on and it was screwing with my bandwidth. As soon as Brian turned his camera off, I could hear you fine. Okay, I was trying to listen to you, Rumpus, because I love the sultry sound of your voice.
Okay, all right.
Okay, listen. Since you haven't produced any of the papers I asked for before, I'm not going to be surprised if you can't do this. What I would like to ask of you, Rumpus, is for you to produce any scientific record where they have done exactly what you just outlined. That is, they took the measurements at both the beginning and the end of the observation. Go.
Right, I've got a paper. Okay, I can give you a paper link to.
Yeah, just link it to my DM, please.
Okay.
In the meantime, I love White Word's fucking thing here. I'm pumped. Are you guys fucking pumped or what?
Yeah, it's a good yeah, it's a good thing. I must admit, I hadn't.
We can't take him seriously. He
You
can't
all
even prove
fired
his
up?
parents are his parents.
So, hey, Flurper Nerfer, before you start talking shit, what do you think about this idea? Were you listening to the show, or are you just coming in to spout your usual fucking bullshit?
Rhetoric.
Are you triggered?
What do you think about this idea? Do you see my screen? Were you listening to the show or no?
No, I just come in right now.
Okay, all right. Well, then go back and listen
Well,
to
then
it.
shut
Let us
up
know what
because
you
you don't
think.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I just told you his credibility is terrible because he can't even prove by his standard that his parents are his parents.
You just
We don't
poison in
care
the
about your
well,
feels.
character assassination.
Don't
Okay.
care how you feel. Yeah.
Yeah, we can't be taken
Same old
taken
bullshit.
seriously. Anyone that believes that.
Same old bullshit.
Gambino, you
It
got
doesn't matter
straight
what.
up.
You know what?
Gambino.
Flurper, it doesn't matter what White's word says. Okay, it's
Yeah,
on
it
paper,
does.
black and white here. We've already got Rumpus on record saying yes, I agree. We all agree. We're all bought into this. It's very obvious. The results will mean something. So go back
Anyone
and
that's
listen to it because
interested-
that's what we're about, doing an actual fucking experiment, not making up stories.
Also,
okay.
anyone that's
Cool. What about satellite?
anyone that's interested, check out QE's last video. Gambino got fucking scraped in it.
Oh,
Fleur
there's
for
so many good
Nerfer.
times I owned him, Jeremy. That was great.
You got great, bro.
Thank you for linking me to
Check
that. 'cause
QE's
I
last
forgot all about
video.
all
He got
those.
Stop
fucked up.
talking straight over everyone.
Yeah, Jeremy. Let someone else talk.
All right, go ahead.
No, you. He was talking. I was listening to him, and you just started talking all over the top of him, like you do to everybody. You ballers are all the same, all of you.
Oh, Paige, you
Correct
are.
and factual.
Jesus
Yes.
Christ. How you can say that is just extraordinary. You're one of the worst. I can't think of anyone worse than you, actually,
More
Paige.
feelings,
Come on,
Rumpus.
Rumpus.
More feelings.
Well, come on, she's pretty badly
More
behaved, isn't she?
feelings when we're talking about measuring the Earth. We're talking about facts and science, and you guys want to tell us how you feel.
No,
It's
no,
pretend you know
we're
pathetic.
talking about the interruptingness. You were complaining about him interrupting, and that you seem to be completely unaware of your own behaviour. Do you actually go back and listen to your contributions to these things sometimes and how badly you behave? You're dreadful sometimes.
Yep.
More feelings.
All right.
Well, it's a fact.
We're getting in a little meta here. So, White's word, I've got a question for you. I want to conduct this experiment as well, to repeat it immediately. Obviously, I can't because there's 6 inches of snow on the ground, which will probably hamper the efforts, but I'd like to stay in sync with you and discuss the details more.
Brandon wants to do this at the same exact moment, so we got to synchronize our watches.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I want to do it at the same moment.
This is just plumb lines not being parallel. That's easy to do.
That's fine.
Just plumb lines? No, this has nothing to do with plumb lines. Sorry.
Sure, looks like it.
Yeah.
No, Fluffer,
Well, I guess
what
you can't
they're
read.
doing. Yeah, Fluffer, what they're doing is they're pulling a rope tight, and they're going to see if the force, and then they're going to make sure they're pulling from a position that's below the sagittor, which means that basically if you're on a globe Earth, which obviously we know we are, it would pull down at the center, whereas if you're on a flat Earth, it would pull up. So they're just trying to measure the force. So it's actually moderately. It's actually quite it's a unique attempt to do it. And I can't at the moment see anything wrong with it.
Me and Brandon talked about this for 9 hours yesterday. The thing we got lost in, though, was having the whole rope on level surface and having the endpoints be a little bit higher. That's how we got fucked up yesterday, Brandon. Do you realize that now?
No, because I had that, and I knew that was the case the whole time. I think this "we" thing, you're getting a little liberal with the "we" word here.
So you trolled me for 9 hours. You trolled me for 9 hours yesterday.
No. Yeah, so it's pretty simple. If you read the words, you'll figure it out, Flurfer. But anyway.
Yeah, Fluffer, don't assume anything here. This is actually a bit different to the other things that have been going on, so inspect it before you just leap at it. But you're absolutely right about the parallel stuff and vertical stuff. You know, that's all. We all know that demonstrates that that those observations show this curve. But
yeah,
they want to do it this way.
You have zero measurements of diverging plumb lines. Zero.
Hey, Flurper.
Rumpus, you have personally debunked. My bad. Go ahead.
No, just please, Flipper, let me know if you don't agree with it, mate. I'll chuck it out the window and I won't even do it because, you know, I would appreciate your input.
I think Rumpus is on board with this, right, Rumpus?
Yeah, at the moment, I can't see a problem with it. Assuming that what he said about the line and the fact that it really can pull over 5-10 kilometers, and it actually, will go through the grass and won't just lay there and be all frictiony, and it's sufficiently slippy that it will go through the grass and you will feel a force. And if that's the case, and if it's not, obviously it'll just be do nothing. It'll just be. But if there is a force to be registered, and it does, and something does actually happen when you pull on it, then that's all that's required. All we've got to just do is to get that force to be registered, and if it does coincide with someone pulling on it, then it will pull down on a globe Earth, and it will pull up on a flat Earth. If you've got the heights right. I haven't checked your drop and everything, but I think it looks about right. I think I was yes, but it looks about right. So yes, if you have those sort of coordinates in there, I can't see anything wrong with the principle at hand.
He's got it right.
It's actually brilliant in its simplicity, Rumpus, isn't it? It's actually brilliant in its simplicity.
It is brilliantly simple.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
As soon as I read this, I was like, "This is the one. This is it."
Yeah,
right here.
yeah. What it is, it's good old Aussie ingenuity.
All right, let's not get carried away
You're not
here.
getting any
Come on
fucking
now.
credit for this just because
Don't
you're from the
you
same
worry,
country.
I'm jumping all over this, Jeremy. I'm all over it.
Well, this is better. This is a lot better than some of the. This is
Hey,
a lot better
Jeremy,
than.
soon enough, you'll get our accents confused anyway, so I'll take all the credit.
This is a lot better than some of the nutcase shit I've heard. I mean, what? This is a lot better than some of the crazy shit I've heard. I mean, I remember one time a guy told me to hit a gyroscope with a laser beam.
No, that would work.
What
Totally.
part? Why? So you're northern or southern Oz?
What do you think, Nap Snaps? You bought into this thing?
Of course she has. Of course she has.
I don't even know what it is. I'm sorry, it's kind of loud here. What is it? Buy into what?
This experiment.
No,
you
we're
didn't
not
hear it.
replaying it for her. She will not understand.
Oh my god, yeah, we are not going to go through it again, are we?
Calm down, guys.
Two
Don't
of
worry.
them-
Just
two
go
of them
back and
didn't
listen to
bother
it.
Listening.
Go back and listen to it.
Watched it. She's all over it. She's
literally
watched
just
it.
got in here.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. I didn't know if you watched it already. Just go back and listen to it. It's an experiment. I think we're all bought in going forward with it finally. I think White's
think
word is
George-
going
how many
forward with it
birds-
regardless.
Hold
but-
I don't think George is very happy with it.
Rumpus, how many birds? Rumpus, how many birds can poop on the beach before this becomes invalid?
It's somewhere between 11 and 14.
All right, we'll have BB gun turrets.
Yeah,
As long as you get the similar elevation, flattish elevation, and those heights right at the end, Rumpus, nothing can go wrong.
Flatties always find ways of going wrong.
Nothing can go
But
wrong. Don't
as
you
of
worry,
so far,
Rumpus.
Whites has not said
Don't you-
anything stupid at the moment for me to feel
Exactly.
he's inclined to go flatty on me and stupid on me. But you never know. There's always room for. But at the moment, in principle, I can't see anything wrong with it.
I tell you what, Rubbers, go watch Deadliest Catch or something like that and check out that fishing line firsthand. All right, there's plenty of examples of it. Put your mind at ease.
Yeah, but the great thing about this is you can actually do a small scale test. I mean, you could have a 1 kilometre of it and see if it can pull, and if it can, then off you
100%
go.
you could.
Yep.
And if White's is saying that they've got these things at 50, some amazing number, tens of kilometres, and they pull on these fish. I know it's only going through water, which obviously is a bit easier than going through ground, but yes, it's still quite a slippy cord there. So yeah, if it can pull stuff at tens of kilometres away, big fish on there, and lots of it, and they have lots of hooks all the way along, that is quite a job. So that is quite.
They're pulling up hundreds of fish at a time, Rumpus. So
on that
it does
you
its
don't
job.
know. Are you familiar with the line that he's suggesting?
Yes, and they pull up hundreds of fish at a time. It's long line fishing. There is hundreds and thousands. They go. Some of them are like 30 kilometres long. They are hugely long. Maybe perhaps even longer. And they have thousands of hooks attached to them, Rumbers, thousands. And they pull up thousands of fish at a time.
That does suggest, I must admit, that is.
Do they troll with it?
Pretty compelling evidence, I have to say.
How much is that damn line? White's word. Have you looked into that?
It'd be
They
a
have
small
to troll
fortune,
with it.
Some of that stuff, I reckon. Be a small fortune.
Do you know, White? Have you looked into the cost of the line, Whites?
I'm looking at around $5,000 for line. So if
There
anyone
you
wants
go.
to help me, I'll take it. But it's readily available.
George
Yes,
was looking.
exactly.
George was looking into this, and I think he got hold of quite a long length of line, monofilament, something or other, and he was saying it's quite long. But again, it was the SAG issue. But you're not worried about SAG issues here, so yeah.
No, I've ruled out any variable that could fuck this up. So I want anyone and everyone to try and pick it and fault it, even though I feel like we've done a good job and I've done a good job myself. But hey, if there's something that no one's thought of and we need to factor it in, then think of it and let's get it factored.
The thing is, you might not get an upward. Hold on, Rumpus. You might not get an upward force in the middle, but how far are the points going to be away from the ends? Because I feel like even if that was a globe
1.5 kilometers from the center. 1.5 kilometers from the center, and then 3 kilometers. I did fail to put that on the diagram. Brandon, if you can put that on and repost, that'd be good.
White, are you available on? Cause if I do think of some problem, I could DM you on Discord. Can I? Is that the easiest way to get hold of you? Hello, White. If I do think of a problem, can I just Can I just DM you on Discord? Will I get through to you?
Yes, we know how DMs work, Rumpus.
I know, because he wasn't familiar with Discord.
He knows
That's
how
what I'm
DMs
asking.
work. He knows how DMs work. Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
White. The thing is, even if it was a globe, even on a globe, and you pulled them tight. Sorry, if you pulled them tight outwards, horizontal. Even on a globe, wouldn't that make it come up off the ground?
Yeah, but not before the first measuring point. So if you look at point B, so from point A to point B, as the tension comes up, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, I mean, I'll speak for White. This is having difficulty. That point where he's got the little line there, if you can see where he's drawn a white pencil line, where that crosses the stick goes. He's got this horizontal line, and where that crosses the red line of the curve, it would lift up prior to that. But after that point, it would only be coming down. That's presumably why White has got the force going down.
I got it. All right, this is fucking good, bro. You're the man, White. How'd you think? You think of this on your own?
He's having obviously problems connecting here.
I don't think it can hear you.
This is good shit right here. This is fucking good shit, man.
I can't hear or talk or anything.
Yeah, we're having
You might have
difficulty
to
hearing you
drop
as
out
well.
and rejoin. Sometimes Discord fucks up.
I'm fucking excited. I don't know about you guys. I'm fucking pumped.
It is interesting. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Yeah, and if he's
It's a fantastic idea.
This is fucking great, man. I wish Brandon could have explained it to me yesterday. We wasted fucking 10 hours
I even
DMing
made you
each other.
fucking special diagrams.
You did. I didn't get it yesterday, and now that I'm looking like a little bit, and I still wasn't fucking getting it.
Well, you are a flat earther, Jeremy, so you've got to allow yourself some margin there.
Very funny, Rumpus. Go teach Ruhip how refraction works and get back to me.
He's
the main surveyor, too, because you debunked plumb lines aren't parallel.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Rumpus doesn't understand refraction. What are you talking about, Jeremy?
At least they'll be on the same page, though.
Plumb lines are always parallel as long as you don't assume you're standing on a globe first.
Ruhip has got a good grip on refraction. He's even modelled it in some regard, although it was not as sophisticated as the modelling I've done. But he's had a go at it, and he understands most of the all the principles actually, and he's even modelled what he knows how to calculate. For instance, having circulating rays that would give you the black swan.
Rumpus, are your models working models or are they pictures?
Well, because they're not just pictures arbitrarily drawn. We've actually created the model,
so
and then we
pictures.
listen.
Yes,
Listen. To stop interrupting.
No.
Well, you want to be a rude. Okay, be a rude.
So it's not a working model.
It is.
When you're wrong, I will interrupt and say you're wrong.
It's normally Paige. The way to do it is to then tell me I'm wrong afterwards instead of interrupting me 4 words into it. So, Travis, what we've done with our
So
modeling,
we have to let you just spew your nonsense all over everybody. Even though what you say goes against science, it goes against geometry.
You've no idea what science is. So what we've done, we actually created the Mile of Man model.
The Mile of Man.
And we
Never
then
heard of that place.
we then matched that to
You're
compare.
stuttering. You seem to be stuck, Rumpus. And
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
and then,
I've
and then.
got an obnoxious woman shouting at me while I'm trying to form a sentence. Yeah, that's my problem. So we've modelled it. We created some images from the model, and then we compared them against what Anthony Riley took in the video. And when I finally get round to doing my thing, you will see that the match is exact. So it's not just some arbitrary thing. Hold on, Travis. It's been matched against reality.
So he's got a drawing.
Okay. Oh, hold on. Okay, so you said you modeled it. So it was a working model at first. You had a physical working model first.
Well, you don't have to have a physical working model. You have a mathematically model it. No one creates a mathematical model, a physical model of the atmosphere. You create mathematical models and then compare that against what the atmosphere does. And then if they agree,
I could create a physical model. I can show you a terrarium with it all closed in with gas pressure inside and water, in little level topped puddles inside, and land, and everybody standing up the same way, looking up at the same sky. I can give you a complete working model.
Are the plumb lines
Oh, it
parallel
certainly
in your
does
terrarium?
match reality.
No, it doesn't. It won't.
So we don't have water on the ground. We don't have, everyone doesn't look up to the sky. There's not air pressure inside here.
On your model,
So
have you
what
got the
is not
moon?
wrong?
So, for
What
instance,
is not right?
Can you model the sunset? No, you can't. Can you model how you see the moon? No, you can't. Can you
Have
model the
you?
Polaris? Can you model how
No,
Polaris
you
changes?
draw pictures.
No, you can't. So all those things your model can't
You
do.
can't even model water on the ground, Rumpus. I can give you water, land, air, vertical, horizontal. I can give you everything to make a working model.
Parallel.
For
So on your
you.
model, you won't be able to have verticals not
Rumpus,
parallel. So your model will be
you
wrong
tell
in
me
that
I
regard.
interrupt, yet you're doing the same thing to me.
Well, no, you
See,
interrupted me
it's
as I was
okay.
answering. No, you were interrupting me as I was answering. So all those things I've just described, those 5 things, your model will fail at, and our model will work. So your model's a failure.
You don't have one, Rumpus. You don't have a working model. You have pictures. What I'm saying is I can give you a physical, actual, real model with water and air pressure, everything.
No, you can't.
In
You
it
can't model
all
the air
at
pressure.
once.
You can't
In
model the air pressure.
Page's model.
No, you can't. You can't model the
Page's
gradient.
You're telling me I can't show you a
model-
bottle garden
You can't model
with air
the
pressure inside.
You can't model the pressure gradient. For instance, you just claimed you could, and you
Of
can't.
course you can.
Rubbish.
No, she can't.
Every terrarium has a pressure
Rubbish.
gradient in it.
Blue
She
marble
cannot
science. My
model
God,
the
your
gradient.
own side
She cannot
admit
model the
the
pressure and
gradient
density
is
gradient
not
of the
the
actual
argument,
atmosphere.
Rumpus.
She won't be
The
able to model that.
gradient. How did you get your pressure in the first place? You can't show
You're now
me.
changing the subject. Your model will
No,
not
you're
have
changing the subject.
No,
I'm saying I have a
you were just
working
I just
model.
raised the issue. Have
You
not been able to
don't.
model the pressure.
You guys are
hold
talking
on.
over each
Well,
other.
Show
Can't hear
me
it, guys.
a working
Yeah, no,
model.
Paige just won't take turns. I don't know what. She's just incapable of behaving like a mature adult. You will not be able
Show
to model
me
the
a
pressure and density.
working.
Oh God. You won't
Show
be able
me a
to model
working
the pressure,
model of
temperature,
yours
and
doing
density gradients.
anything.
You won't be able to model the pressure, temperature, and density gradients.
Oh,
Whereas
for
we
fuck's
can.
sake, you can't even get the pressure to start with.
Yes, we
Yeah,
can.
Rumpus,
Great gravity.
Page's,
fuck
Rumpus,
me.
Page's
Pull you
model.
down to the ground, you silly goddamn woman.
Rumpus,
Yes, Jeremy.
Rumpus. Page's model will have air for us to breathe. Yours won't.
Yes, it will. What do you think, Jeremy?
Where
what
are
do
you
you
gonna get
think?
that? How are you gonna get the air?
You just said
Jeremy,
everything I did would
Jeremy,
be wrong.
what do you think? The force that pulls you down to the ground. What do you think that?
Seriously.
Do you accept that exists, Jeremy? Do you
What
accept
the
force
fuck?
pull? Jeremy, do you accept there is a force that pulls you down
my
to the ground?
God. Do not start these red herring bullshit arguments,
Jeremy,
Rumpus.
do you accept there is a
We are
force
talking
pulling you
about
down
a
to the ground?
working model of water and air pressure and land.
Yes, and you were claiming what? There's
You
no way.
cannot even
Oh my
model
God.
that.
I tell you what, you go on, then tell me when I can start to talk without you interrupting me. Can I go now?
Don't go off on a red herring and I won't
Yeah.
interrupt you at
Let's
all.
get this done quicker than
So,
playing with
Jeremy,
your
do you
whiteboard.
accept?
Be quiet.
Jeremy, do you accept there is a force pulling you down?
No. Yeah, come on out there, Moon.
Oh God! So Jeremy's gone all quiet, presumably because he's embarrassed about answering giving me the
I
right
said
answer.
no. I said no.
You don't believe? Oh my God! Here we go. So you do not believe there is a force pulling you down to the ground? Is that? I'll just to make
Maybe there could be. Why? There could be. Why? So what? What if there is?
Because the same force
Don't
pulls.
let him drag
See,
you off.
Oh
You
my God!
can't, mate. You're going off into the weeds,
It's
Rumpus.
impossible.
Deliberately.
Yeah,
Come
have to do with
on.
your model.
Get back on
Deliberately
track.
obfuscating.
Don't embarrass yourself.
Because he cannot talk to me about
Stick to the
an
model,
actual
Rumpus.
working model of water
Yep. Talk to
and air
Paige
pressure.
about the model. Don't go off about gravity and Coriolis and everything else you'll try to. Stick with the model.
I see you're trying to get off the subject here.
He will not. He won't
I'm
even
happy to talk
stop
about
his
any
mouth
subject.
moving for long enough for
interrupting me.
anybody
I'm happy
to
to
say
talk about
anything.
any subject whatsoever, but I'm in the middle of talking to Jeremy about gravity. So I was challenged by Jeremy. I was challenged by Jeremy as to how we can account for the air pressure or whatever. And if you understand, oh my God.
So you
If
ran
we-
away from the conversation we
Oh,
were
Jesus
having
Christ.
to answer
Can I
Jeremy's
just finish a single
interrupted
sentence here?
question.
Can I just finish
how
a
are you
single
going to get
sentence?
to air? Hold on.
Can
How
I
are you
have
going to
a
get to air?
single sentence? Can I just deliver a single sentence here?
No, you can listen
there you
for
go,
once.
Paige. You are an obnoxious bitch. You really are. You just
Yeah,
do not.
today I'm
I mean, come on,
telling you, Rumpus,
Uncalled
you need
for.
to listen.
All right, guys. All right, guys. Hold on.
I just cannot get more than 4 words out here.
You'll get a chance to respond. Let's let Jeremy respond to your statement.
I
then
haven't
you
made
can
a
respond.
point yet. I have not finished a
That's
single
okay.
sentence.
That's okay. Go ahead,
You
Jeremy.
haven't made a single
This is
point.
ridiculous.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
This is
Rumpus,
ridiculous.
we're in a.
So there we
we're
go.
in a-
If I can't get a single sentence out,
You will.
oh good.
Rumpus, how are you? We're in a vacuum. Paige got her terrarium with the gas pressure and the land and the water and everything. Now we put your ball in a vacuum. What are you going to have on a ball?
Right.
How are you going to get the gas to stick to it?
Yeah, and I was in the process of asking you all about that before I was rudely interrupted. So, force that you are being pulled down to the ground with, and we call that gravity. The gas molecules are being subjected to
Gravity is literally not a force. George Musa, quote.
obnoxious person.
You gotta let him at least
Gravity
answer.
is
Paige,
not
Here we are,
Paige.
if I can get an answer. I'm just not being
We can't debunk him if he doesn't answer. I know.
about
Just
you,
let
sir?
him spew his bullshit. Then we'll respond and debunk his shit and give our
Right,
argument.
Muto, if you can't behave properly, right? So, Jeremy, the force that pulls you down onto the scales, and is registered by scales, is a force of gravity, and that same force is being exerted on the gas molecules, and so that's why they remain in the earthing, because they're pulled down just like you are. There is no difference between the
Give us a working model of it.
between the acceleration they're subjected to and the same acceleration yours. So obviously they got like little springs.
Put your
on them.
working model next to my
they are-
terrarium and show me that
They've got
happening.
little springs on them, in effect, if you want to think of it, Jeremy, and therefore they're held by gravity to the surface.
You could keep it a little shorter, Rumpus.
Yeah, no, I'm
Rumpus.
being interrupted systematically because Paige is too stupid or too scared for me to finish
The
a sentence.
thing is, we're talking about having a
Rumpus,
tangible.
Show us that.
We're talking about having a
Put
tangible
your
working
model next to mine and show it working.
None of
like
your
I can
aspects
do
of your
for
model
you.
works. Okay, let me just finish with Jeremy, and then you can come back at me.
Terrarium,
The only
Rumpus.
time
It's
you
got
ever
the
speak
water in it.
is
It's
to
got the
interrupt
land in it. It's
people.
got the air in it.
only
How
time
is it
you
not
ever
working?
speak is to interrupt people. So, Jeremy, please make the counterpoint.
Yeah, Paige is
You
right.
are
We're talking
so
about
terrified of answering me.
I'm happy to discuss in a debate with you, Paige, but not when you interrupt me. I'm happy to have any discussion with you like, but I'm in the middle at the moment of talking to
Listen,
Jeremy.
Paige is right.
Yeah, but
She
you
can
were
put her
talking to
working.
me before you were talking to Jeremy. You ran
speak
off.
when you
You
interrupt
ran
me.
off
I'm happy
from
to
my
talk about
conversation with
anything you
you
want
to
talk
talk
about,
to
but I'm in
Jeremy.
the middle of talking to Jeremy. So, Jeremy, go ahead, please.
Yeah, because you
Paige
ran
is
away
right.
from
Oh,
me.
my God.
Paige is right, though. She can put her terrarium and all her land and her gas pressure and her water right on the land, right? You can't do that.
Right. You've completely ignored my point. I thought you were going to counter my point.
The whole point is having a working model.
Yeah, well,
That's
hold
what
on.
we were talking about.
We were having a debate about gas pressure and gravity, and I have made a point, and you've completely ignored what I've said.
No, we're not having a. We're having a debate over who can get a working model.
The gas molecules
The
remain
debate was
in
about
the
who had a
Earth
working model,
because of
Rumpus.
gravity, and you haven't made a
Who
counterpoint.
has a working model,
I'll come back
Rumpus?
to you in a second, Paige.
No,
Just let me finish
Rumpus,
off with
we were
Jeremy.
talking first.
Yeah,
Stop running away.
Yeah, but you're impossible to debate. So Jeremy, at least as an adult, and seems to be able to converse in a reasonable manner. So, Jeremy, you haven't made a counterpoint to my point that the gas molecules are pulled to the Earth just like you are. And given the
Wait,
fact you know that you're pulled to the Earth, you should accept that gas molecules, which have mass, behave in exactly the same
Give
way.
us a working model of it
No, I'll do that
next to
second.
my
Do that second.
terrarium.
Let Jeremy respond, please.
Rumpus, my point was that Paige can have a working model in her terrarium with the gas pressure, the water.
So you're not going to try and counter my point about the fact that gas molecules are pulled to the Earth in the same way you are, then?
You're not letting him finish.
No.
Rumpus,
You're
you're just talking all over him.
You're going to bring up another point.
Just like he's screaming at me for.
I'm not
you're
bringing
doing
up
to
another
him.
point. I'm not bringing up another point. This was the original.
Can I ask Rumpus one question that summarises all of this? Just one question uninterrupted, Rumpus. Can you let me do that? Okay, so Paige is claiming her model with a terrarium, like Jeremy said as well, and you're saying, oh, well, you won't get a pressure gradient, that won't work. Fair enough, maybe we can't, totally. Okay, but if I gave you a challenge and said, right, Paige, come up with your terrarium, Rumpus, you come up with your model, and we put them side by side. And now on a scale of 0 to 100% accurate, whose model, yes, Paige may not be able to totally exactly duplicate the gradient that exists from ground level to wherever it is in the sky, but scale of 1 to 100, Rumpus, you've got to put a ball into a vacuum, have it float, have water stick to it, have air stick above the water to the ball. Who do you reckon's model is going to get a higher score from 0 to 100?
Yeah.
Right.
That was basically my point. Exactly, FE. Thank you.
On all the geometrical issues, mine will be completely correct. Things like sunsets, the moon, the sun, etc., etc. But what the trouble is, you can't model mass.
So everything that's not the ground.
You are just
listen to what you're saying.
You're just so rude.
Anything
You really are
but the ground.
unbelievably, appallingly obnoxious. So
Listen to me, Rumpus.
I'll speak
You're
to you and I'll
saying
be
you
happy-
can model the
I'll be
sky.
happy
We're
to
not
engage
talking
with
about
you,
the
but not
sky.
while you're interrupting me to responding to F. Evangelist. You just cannot behave like
You're
an
not
can you?
talking about
So
what
I'm
we are
talking to
talking
F.
about,
Evangelist,
Rumpus.
and then I'll talk to you.
Stick to the
So
subject,
I will-
the ground.
I'm responding to F. Evangelist's point. So I will be able to get everything right as regards the geometry, moon, sun, etc., etc. But because you can't scale mass, for instance, I can't make an object say that you can fit in a vacuum chamber the same mass of the Earth. And
So you can't do it.
I can't model things that
Exactly.
You can't do it. That's right. You
do
can't do it.
So yes,
That's
it's
your
a
answer,
fundamental part of physics.
Okay, so in summary,
So we have
No, but
to
I'll be able to get
believe
everything else right.
unreal.
Whereas Paige won't get anything right.
now hang on, so Rumpus, what you're
How can
saying,
water and air
as we
pressure
all
around
know,
inside a terrarium not be right, Rumpus?
you don't have a working model. Not even close to a working model. What you have, what you have, you have a mathematical explanation on paper. That's what you have. As far as a model, if I build a model aeroplane, that's different to drawing a picture of an aeroplane. I can build a model of a Supermarine Spitfire that will look exactly like the Supermarine, other than the fact it won't actually fly. I can also draw a picture of one that will look like one on paper, but the model that I can pick up in my hand,
it will look exactly
that's a lot closer to the real thing than a picture. No, it's a lot closer. It's three-dimensional. I could build it to weight scale. I could do everything. But a drawing is worthless.
I could model it physically in every regard except for the features of gravity. So I could get the geometry exactly right. I could put the moon, and I could show how the moon and the sun works. I could show how the sunlight works. I could show how sunsets work. I could show the fact that
all together, all at once, Rumpus.
I could show
like
how
I can.
systems work. I could show how you can't see the dark side of the moon, and where she wouldn't be able to
See,
get
it's
any
all
of
about
that
the
right.
sky.
You wouldn't be able to get any of that
You can't
right.
prove
Well,
anything about the
you
ground.
wouldn't get anything right at all. So that's quite a lot more I'd be able to get right. She'd get 0 right. I would get everything
Of the sky. What
besides-
use is that?
Besides,
What use is that when we're trying to determine the shape of the ground?
So I would get
I'd rather
everything
be on
right except for
Page's.
gravity-based
See, he
things.
can't even answer me. All he can do is
I'm
chant,
happy.
repeat himself and chant his religious belief.
I just want to make sure I finish
It's
with
astounding. Listen to him
and then I'll
stutter.
talk to you. And then I'll talk to you.
And
So,
then,
Jeremy, I'm happy to talk to you.
and then,
Deary me, you are a obnoxious cow, aren't you? So Jeremy was in the.
You're pathetic, Rumpus. This whole debate
You are a
now is
moron.
pathetic.
You
You
are a
guys have
stupid,
nothing.
science-denying,
Even when
stupid,
we
rude,
see your feels
discourteous,
again, mate. Your
immature,
feels.
stupid
I don't
cow,
care about your
I'm afraid.
feelings.
So
I can show you a
no, you
working
can't.
model.
Everything would be wrong. Everything is wrong in your model. Everything. Every
So
single
water
thing
is
about your
wrong.
model. Every single
So
thing about your
water
model would be wrong.
inside my just because
single thing about
I
your
put it
model will be wrong.
inside,
Can we move
water is now wrong, is it?
So if everybody's finished,
That's so
besides Paige, I
pathetic,
can get
Rumpus.
back to- I'll
If
get
that's
back
your
to Paige then.
argument,
So
that is just
Hey, I think
unbelievable.
Howard's trying to break
Paige,
in. Let's break this off a little bit. You guys are kind of spinning your wheels. Howard, what's up?
Oh, that you just did it. Thank you.
All right. Why don't we check in with the people that we haven't talked to much and see what's going on in their world. If anybody's got anything interesting they want to plug or mention, go for it. Bandsaw Bandit.
I'll mention something.
Yeah, go ahead, George.
I was just watching the evening news, and I missed most of your show, but rather interesting thing is a big glacier chipped off in the Himalayas and dumped into a river, flowed down the river, and broke a huge dam, busted right through the dam.
Oh, shit.
Quite a disaster out in India.
Yeah, that happened a couple of days ago, didn't it?
I'm not sure when it happened, but it was recently.
Yeah, it was a couple of days ago, I think, or a day and a half ago.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this looks pretty bad here. Scores are feared dead in India after Himalayan glacier breaks away. People are buried. There was a mudslide, it looks like.
Yeah.
The reason why India's had such a high population throughout the centuries is actually the Himalaya mountains, because the clouds get blocked when they try to go over it, and you end up with getting a lot of rain. All the rain falls on the one side.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they got very fertile. They got very fertile soils in it, as you say, because there's the Himalayan. Is it the Burunpukcha or something? I think it comes in from winds around the Himalayas and then comes in from the east via Bangladesh and then shoots into the eastern India. And then, of course, you've also got the Indus. Well, Indus, which was one of the earliest civilizations, that's very fertile as well. Again, it's down to rivers and water.
So the moral of the story. The moral of the story is the rain does not fall gently on the plain in India.
Thanks for that, George.
And the moral of the story is they got sneaky ice over in India. It just sneaks up on dams.
Yeah, they got some problems out there with that ice. There was an accident on Mount Everest Base Camp not too long ago. If you'll remember that. Killed a bunch of hikers.
I think it was a Bolivian mudslide, wasn't there, about 10 years ago, which killed 10,000 people.
Oh my gosh, 10,000 people?
Yeah, it was incredible. I think it's Bolivia. Yeah, it was a huge mudslide, and it just mudslides are really deadly. Yeah, I think it was 10,000. It was something absolutely outrageous like that. And of course, we had in terms of disasters. Of course, there was the tsunami. Was it 2004? It was in Sri Lanka and all that. And,
that footage is unbelievable. Yeah.
Awful.
Years ago, when I was in Colorado, there was a dam break up in Estes Park, above Estes Park, and it flooded one of the rivers going into Estes. And the real danger is not so much the torrent of water coming down, but all the debris and the soil material that gets washed up in the water, and the water, gets to that river becomes much more massive than just the 1 gram per cubic centimeter of water. You have all this material in the water that washes down. It's just wipes out everything in its path.
Yeah, that's a more recent.
Washes down. What's that water trying to do?
Estes Park, huh? I used to camp there when I was a kid with my parents. George, nice area.
Yeah. The downtown of Estes Park, we all went up there to help them dig out. The main street downtown was 3 foot deep in mud.
Oh,
all the shops, everything.
What city do you live in, George, or did you?
Well, from the water trying to find its level?
Loveland, which is 30 miles lower than Estes Park at the bottom of the Thompson Canyon.
Where at? You said? Sorry, I missed it.
Loveland. On US 34, Loveland.
Yeah, we skied there. Skied Loveland. Yeah. Love Colorado. If anybody has a chance to go to Colorado, go, because it is a beautiful state with a ton of stuff to do. Summer or winter.
It's a bit deserty for a British person's liking. It seems rather sparse and not much there.
Well, that's out on the eastern plain that I was showing you those photographs.
Yeah.
But once you get into the foothills and in If you take a line down the center, north-south of Colorado, everything to the east is just a desolate plain, but everything to the west is all mountainous and very gorgeous and pretty.
Yeah, Colorado's
Okay,
like
all
half
this nice
mountains, half
discussion suit me.
Nebraska.
I got a question. I think it was yesterday or day before.
Okay, go ahead, Brian.
I think he's breaking up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought I got disconnected, but I was watching.
Whoa,
those days,
whoa,
and
whoa,
I think
Brian, hold on a
might have
minute. What did you just do with your microphone?
Turn these headphones off. They turn off.
Well,
automatically.
you sound better than I can ever remember hearing you sound right now. Just so you know.
Do that all the time. Always do this.
Yeah, he did the same thing on Jose's. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they told me
Sounded
the
much
headphones
better.
sounded better, but hey, that's very good to know. Sorry, previous, but so they were talking about the stars, and I thought it was maybe George, maybe Rob. It might not have been. So I don't want to put words in your mouth that wasn't you, but it could have been Blue. But they were saying that because we've heard and we've seen footage of high altitude balloons, and we see how the stars dim when you get over about 30,000 feet. How they look good when you're up in the mountains about a mile or two. But then you get a certain height and they start fading to where they eventually fade out. And so I didn't think that was in contention. I thought NASA even had an explanation for it, but it might have been Blue or George. Do you think we see the stars when we get over like 10 miles, 20 miles? Do you think the stars disappear to the naked eye?
Of course not. Of course not. That's
Not at
gibberish.
all.
Absolute gibberish of the first order.
Well, NASA's explanation was that you need
If anything, they're going to become more distinct, defined, and brighter.
Yeah.
What about Neil Armstrong and Mike Collins?
Oh my
and Buzz
gosh!
Saying that they didn't see any stars without the optics.
He did not say that.
And NASA
In the
said
daytime.
here's what
Brian,
NASA claimed.
that was in the daytime on the moon's surface. We don't see stars during the day here, do we? So if he's on the
Mike
day,
Collins was in the. Mike Collins, who said he didn't see any, was in the mothership that was orbiting the moon. He was on both sides. So before you just blurt shit out, Rumpus, hear me out.
Well, yeah, we don't see him in the
NASA has a
daytime.
response.
We don't see him in the daytime here because of the atmosphere, anyway, right?
no, the sunshine. The very bright thing in the sky, which means you can't see the little dim stars.
But what if we were looking
Did
at
you
the
not hear
opposite? Listen to me for a second, okay? If the sun were at our 9 o'clock, right? It's still above the horizon, and we look to our 3 o'clock during daytime, why wouldn't we see the stars?
Because there's a lot of ambient light. It is still day. The mere fact it's daytime, Brandon, means there's a lot of light kicking around. That's the definition of daytime.
So what? When you have one
Is there
bright light
ambient
in your
light above
room,
the
it
altitude?
doesn't
Yeah.
wash
Above
out
the,
all the other small lights. It's the atmosphere
Brandon,
that's blocking
the
you
mere-
from seeing it, right?
No, Brandon, the mere fact that everything is bright is telling you there's a lot of light around, coming up, bouncing, reflecting off objects, reflecting off the sky. There's a lot of light there. The mere fact it's
I
daytime
think
is
you're
telling you
talking.
that.
I think you're talking past one another. Brandon is right. It is the atmosphere that's preventing us from seeing the stars because the light is being scattered in the atmosphere.
No, he doesn't mean it like that. He doesn't
No, that
mean
is
there's
how I
light
mean
coming
it.
from
That is literally how I mean it. Now and my question is, on the moon you don't have that situation, so why wouldn't you be able to look opposite the sun and still see the stars?
You can.
You
can.
Even if you're on the
Yes.
daylight side.
Yes.
Okay.
No, you can't.
Because there's no atmosphere to scatter the light around.
Yeah, but it comes off the surface, George. You can't see the stars on the surface of the moon in daytime.
Yeah, they can. That's why they took so many pictures of the stars.
Not on the
Listen to these two arguing like they've been there and they know.
I'd rather listen to first-hand account. Okay, the astronaut who circled around the moon all them times, said that he didn't remember seeing any stars. Okay, I'm not listening to what Rumpus said.
Brian.
What you can see because Rumpus
That's half
don't
of
know
them,
shit.
Brian. The other half said
Don't listen to the guy who's actually been there.
Brian, give
Or
us
who
a
claims
citation
he's
for
been
that.
there? Who claims
Brian.
he's been there?
Brian, give us a citation for
Thank
that.
you, Brian. Yes, claims he's been there. Thank you.
Brian, can you give me a
Mike
citation
Collins.
for that?
Okay.
Yeah, I know you said Mike
this
Collins.
is in the citation. Okay, let me give you the clue. It was from when the interview that they gave, the first national interview that they did televised.
Yeah, when they were sitting in front of the press, yes, and that was when he was talking about being in the daylight.
Yeah, do you remember seeing the stars, the solar corona, on the daylight side of the moon, and then Neil Armstrong says, "I don't remember seeing any between here, in between the moon." So,
well,
good.
Well, I remember that. I know the interview you're talking about, and it was quite clear that he was talking about when he wasn't talking about being on the dark side of the. And the trouble is on the dark side of the moon, and then being not being able to see the stars. He
well,
wasn't.
Let me give you my common sense take on it. My common sense says that Neil Armstrong was just right before Mike Collins answered. Neil Armstrong described the leaving the Earth in the area in between the Earth and on the moon. As far then Mike Collins' response to Neil Armstrong saying, in all them places he didn't remember seeing any.
Yeah.
And then Mike Collins said he didn't remember seeing any. In other words, the whole damn trip he didn't see any. Okay, that would be the only response you could give to.
Well, don't forget that the Earth is much brighter than the moon is when you're going to relevant anyway. Just perhaps he didn't look out the window at the right time.
He didn't look out the window. He was in space. He didn't look out the fucking window.
Well, if he's doing it at the daytime, then he's not going to see them. Don't forget those things are really small, and most of the time they would have
planets.
Only when he'd been round the back of the sun. The sun is incredibly bright out there. The Earth is incredible. You have to be looking the other way, and the people who were doing on the surface of the moon were always in daylight. So
Rumpus.
they couldn't have a chance to see anything.
Part of the issue could be the visors and the helmets.
Even did say they could see the Magellanic Clouds. Half of them say they did, half of them say they don't.
Well, those would be ones, presumably.
It's
who were not in
ridiculous.
It's an issue of the dynamic range of the eye.
So if you're in space, you can't see stars. Is that what you're saying?
Brian,
it's an
my
issue they
God.
haven't gotten their act
Well,
together.
the visors have filters on them, and you could probably, in order to see when you're in the daylight of the sun, you're blocking out the intensity of the light at which you'd be seeing the stars. I mean, stars are
We're
incredibly
talking,
faint.
George, under conditions that obviously you would be able to see the stars, George.
No, you
don't.
They're not going to
You don't
ask
know
them, hey,
that.
did you see the stars during the daytime? No, George.
More importantly, Brian. More importantly, Brian.
You need to look at their helmet visors. What kind of filters those are?
And one of them said they were able
like
to
having
see
sunglasses
the Magellanic
on.
Clouds.
If you have a high degree of filtering with your
No,
sunglasses, you're
Mike,
not going to
it just depends what the circumstances are. The people on
How
the
could
moon.
they turn around? How could they send a craft way out in the solar system? They wouldn't be able to see nothing because they're always in the sunlight. They wouldn't be able to see the planets.
You're smoking something. Who's smoking? I know I'm
So now you got to just be looking away. Now, that
all
falls
you need
back
to do
to
is have
Brandon's
the
question earlier.
spacecraft between you and the sun, and everything's fine. But when the astronauts certainly on the moon were doing that all in daylight, so they would not be expected to be able to see the stars. Now, there's this issue of Mike Collins.
Rumpus, you'd be in daylight anywhere in the solar system, dipshit.
And if you stared, if you've got further and further away from the sun, so for instance, if you were at Saturn, the sun is much, much less bright, so you might have more of a chance.
Why ain't Saturn less bright then, Rumpus? Why is Saturn just as bright as freaking?
Well, if you're looking
Mars?
the other way, the question is where you're looking and whether you've got the sun or some bright object in your field of view. If you haven't got the sun,
you ever notice you're just giving excuses instead of knowledge?
So it's just simple.
You reckon they
can't
asked them
see
that,
things if you've got a bright light in your face. It's quite simple. I mean, it's just so basic.
What if you're looking away from that bright light?
Right, that'd be fine. Then you would expect it. Let me just answer Brian. Yes, Brian, Brian, if you're looking away,
do you think they asked the astronauts if they saw the light, if they saw the stars while they were facing the sun?
Then you can accost me. I'm going to answer Brian. Brian, if you're looking the other way and you've got something between you and you're not staring at a bright Earth or something that's in your vision, then yes, you would be able to see the stars, and astronauts can. But most of the ones that have been talked about have been the astronauts are running around on the moon, and they always do that in the daylight, and they cannot see the stars. Go ahead, Montreal.
So, Rumpus, do you think that they asked the astronauts if they can see the stars while they were facing the sun at the same time? Is that what you're implying here?
That's what they did. They asked them if they could see any stars on the moon, and then that time they were in the daylight, i.e. the sun was in their face.
Wow. That's the
consider
biggest
that.
excuse I've ever heard in my life.
God.
Oh, Montreal, you don't understand shit. What are you talking about?
That's incredible.
Is that paid NASA idiot? Oh, wow.
Hey, look who's talking.
Hey,
S.E.
what is
Montreal,
there to
the
make
guy
the
who
sun
claims he
dimmer in
understands
space?
everything about
what is
vision
out
and
there in
cameras.
space to make the sun dimmer? Just being a few million miles. If
Yeah,
it's as
a few
bright as it
million
is
miles. That's
93 million
amazing,
miles
huh?
away, what would
Called
make
the
it
inverse
dimmer?
square law. You ever heard of it?
Have you?
Yeah, but
Brian,
okay,
have you seen?
you're only going a few more million miles.
Brian,
Only a
have you
few more
seen?
million miles. The inverse square law, right?
Yeah, Brian,
Well,
have you seen?
you don't use that
you
for
can
Saturn
see-
for the brightness
hey,
of
Shield,
Saturn, the
and
brightness of
sunlight
Jupiter, but
on
now
the
all of a sudden
moon.
you like
You
to
can
use
see
it for
stuff
the
a
brightness of the
million
sun,
light
don't you?
years away.
Brian, have you
You
seen?
don't like to use it
Guys,
for
you
the
guys are all
brightness of
talking
the,
over
of
each
the
other.
planets out there.
Brian, have you seen what the sun looks like?
Wait,
Brian,
Rumpus,
have you
wait.
seen what? Hold on, Brian,
The
have you seen what
intensity
the
of
sun
the
looks
sunlight
like?
on the
Come
moon
on,
and the earth are
like
going to
Saturn.
essentially be
Brian,
the
have you
same.
seen what the sun looks like
Hold on.
It looks like just like a small star.
George, go ahead.
So what happens if they had to turn their head? Could they have seen the stars if the sun wasn't in their face?
Yes, if they got
Oh,
yes,
why
they
don't
could.
they just turn their head then, Rumpus, and say, yeah, we can see the stars.
But you
the
need
sun's
to.
not in their eyes.
But they can't if they're on the moon. If they're on the
You're
moon's surface,
wombat.
you
They
moron.
turn
If they're
their
on the
head, they
moon's
could have seen the
surface, then you
stars.
can't turn away. You've got
You're
the
saying
ground
the sun
around you
is in their
being
eyes,
illuminated.
Rumpus,
You
you're
utter
wombat.
moron. But if you've got
Why
on
don't
the
they just
dark
turn
side
their
of
head
the
and
moon,
they could have seen
then
the
you
stars?
would be able to see the stars. But you can't
Think of
work
what you're
around
saying,
on the surface of the
wombat.
moon
Come
in
on.
daylight. Just
Think
as
about what
we
you're
can't
saying,
see
Rumpus.
stars in daylight either.
That's a pretty big
Well, that's
stretch there,
pretty
Rumpus.
ingenious of you, Rumpus.
No,
You
it's
should write a
perfectly
book on that,
reasonable.
bro.
Why is it a big stretch?
Because
Have you not seen? Have you not
if we're
seen how
looking
bright-
opposite of the sun, it shouldn't matter. We should be able to see the stars.
Why?
Because they're
But not if
there
you're
and they're
surrounded by bright
lights. Why would the sun wash
Brandon,
them out
have you
in
not
Steve's
seen how
There's a
face?
very bright surface there. How about
Yeah,
that?
the surface around them is incredibly bright.
The sun is shining on these stars that are, out at night, that we can see at night. We can see the night. The sun is directly shining on those stars. We can still see them.
Huh? It's not shining on the
Yes,
stars
it
at
is.
all.
Do I need to
What are
draw
you
a
talking
fucking
about?
diagram? In your model,
You
the
draw a
sun
diagram.
is shining.
It's not shining on the
We
stars. You
have
can't-
our back turned to the sun, right?
nighttime.
We're on the back
Yeah, we
side
also
of
have
the
the
earth,
Earth in the way.
looking out
What the
away
hell
from
are you
the
talking
sun,
about?
and the sun is shining out into the stars, and we can see them.
No,
Yeah, we also have the Earth in the way.
But the sunlight doesn't do a 90-degree turn and go into the dark side of the earth. Otherwise, you'd see sunlight.
So
My
you're saying
God.
the fact that the sunlight hits us on the moon in this theoretical fantasy, hits us on the moon means that we can't see the stars if we look away from the sun? What the fuck sense does that make?
Listen, you've obviously not been listening. The surface of the moon is there. Have you not seen pictures of the moon missions and then seen how bright the surface around them is?
Yeah,
It's
it
like
doesn't look
standing
very
around
bright.
on a super bright,
Pretty bright.
like standing on a super bright illuminated floor, so you can't see the stars.
It doesn't look
No,
like a
it's not.
disco
It
floor. You're
is,
making it
uh,
sound like it's a fucking disco floor or
Man,
something,
It
Rumpus.
is almost.
No, Brandon,
Pretty close to disco
Brandon, it
Yeah.
just
Let's go back.
depends on the reflectivity of the surface of the moon. It's just like kind of looking out on the lake in the wintertime. You can't see shit because of so much reflected light is coming off the snow. It causes your eyes to not dilate, but restrict the lensing, and that's what's going to happen anywhere. If you have a very bright reflective object that you're standing on, you're going to be squinting your eyes. Your eyes are going to adjust. The irises are going to close up so that you're filtering out the light. It's a matter of dynamic
George,
range.
they say that when you
You
get above the
dynamic
atmosphere,
range when you're looking into a bright surface.
when you
So
get above the
what's the
atmosphere,
whole
it's just
point
black
to
out there, though,
start
Rumpus.
seeing?
You can see the sun in the background is still black. Okay, so you're saying the sun is washing out stars in that blackness?
Yeah.
And then once again, why did Michael Collins say he never remembered seeing any?
If your dynamic range is restricted, yes.
If you take a picture of the sun from space, you will not see any stars.
No,
You have to
a picture
black out the
away
sun.
from the sun. Away.
Yeah, that's fine. If you're in space and away from a brightly illuminated ground, then yes, you will. That's why the ISS can take pictures of stars. That's why the Hubble can take pictures of stars, but not if it's pointing at the sun and always pointing at the Earth or some other big bright object in its field of view.
That's what your brain tells you. That's not what the witnesses said, though.
The most important thing out of all this is Brian believes in the Apollo mission. Sees them.
I believe they were up there, man, but not. I believe they're up there about 20 miles on their platforms or whatever they got up there. I believe they got something up there. Not no 250 miles. I don't believe that, but yeah, I believe there's shit up there. I believe they're going up there. Why wouldn't they be?
The thing to remember is in the late 60s and early 70s when these questions were being asked.
Dude, Picard. So don't ask me if they had something that floats up there.
They still
Just blurt
didn't
shit
do
out,
that,
dude.
though. They did not go up 10 miles in the 1800s.
They could go up as high as hydrogen could go up and sheepskin or whatever.
They'd have no anything to breathe. They cannot have done that.
They had a capsule,
and it'd
man.
also be minus 50
You don't think they had metal back then, Rumpus? You don't think they had glass and metal?
50,000 feet.
They would die
Rumpus, you don't think they had metal back then and glass? Dude, you just blurt shit out, dude.
No, there's no way on Earth that a balloon went up 10 miles with some people in it in the 1800s. Absolute gibberish. You just made that up.
Rumpus, they invented an interferometer in the fucking 1800s. Floating on liquid mercury and shit. You think they couldn't make a balloon?
They did
Listen,
not send
hold
up
on,
balloons.
just real quick. Listen, Rumpus. I don't know what
implying people. You said people were up there. You said Picard. Hold on, got to fix
quiet, guys. Listen, you can look it up. There is a scientific periodical, and I don't believe it was the 1800s, Brian. I believe it was the 1920s or the 1930s. There's a
Scientific American. Scientific American, Travis.
Yeah. Okay. Scientific American recounts the story of Picard going up whatever distance in a capsule and making observations. So that's
53,000 feet, I think. 53,000 or thereabouts.
There you go.
Back to the mouth.
So Brian's claim was complete gibberish. Thought so.
That's 10 miles, though. That's 10 miles in
you
not to mention, dude. Okay, so you know what, Rumpus? Technology advanced so much in 20 years, dude. They didn't even have jet engines back then, Rumpus.
You got the day off a little bit.
Bullshit, Brian. They had jet engines in the 69. Do you want jet engines been in the 50s?
It said 1920, dude. 1920.
Had jet engines in the 20s, too, but they weren't still developmental.
Okay, you don't know what they had in the 1800s, man.
The first jet plane was in the 19th. Actually, got off the ground. I think was in the 1940s.
Yeah, exactly. So they didn't even have jets when Picard went up there 10 miles.
Exactly.
Okay, so you don't think we had balloons that were capable of going up there for a limited amount of time?
Not in the 1800s,
Not even possible, huh?
when you claimed it was.
Dude, like I said, they invented an interferometer in 1890.
So are you now claiming they did do it in the 1800s? Yes or no? You're now going back. Are you claiming that people went up to the 10 miles high in the 1800s or not?
I stand corrected about Picard, the date of Picard, but that's only.
So why do you keep on going back and then saying, "Oh, well, they invented interferometers in the 1800s"?
You got us all focusing on a 20-year difference. My point was, is way the fuck back then before jets. Okay, they were going up higher than jets could even go. You know what I'm saying? So you think we couldn't have known this stuff
in the 1930s? What's that got to do with the 1800s?
All right, guys. Well, interesting conversation. It's 8 o'clock. We're going to wrap it up. Let's do some final thoughts. We'll start in reverse alphabetical order tonight with the Rumpus.
Right, yeah. Well, as I say, that's said before. I'll repeat it. I must admit, White's thing was an interesting idea, and in principle, I can't see a problem with it. There's always a big difference between principle and practice, but the practical issues seem to be relatively small in comparison to doing things like building a 1 mile concrete curve and things. And given the fact this line supposedly can cope with pulling on things at more than 10 kilometers long and exerting quite large forces, so I can't think of a problem with it at the moment. So that's good. And it's a pity that Paige is just so rude and really ought to try reviewing her behaviour. That's it, really. Bye.
Thanks, Rumpus. Bob Dole. Terry.
Oh, I'm sorry, I got in here a bit late, guys, so I didn't pick up on what topics there was, but I'd imagine it would have been interesting.
So anyway, thanks, Terry. SE Montreal.
Yes, sir, Brian. Good show. Shout out Whites. To be honest, it's the only thing I can see that's feasible. The other ones, the other experiments were a little bit, like the cement one, were a little wishy-washy. This one I can see hope for. So shout out Whites and great show.
Thanks, SE. Snaps. Matrix Media J.
Thank you for having me, Brian. Good show.
Thanks for coming, as always. Left lane.
Yeah, looking forward to White's word about his upcoming test. Wish him luck with that. If I was there, I'd help him. But yeah, good show. I do wish sunshine. I don't know. Thanks, Brandon.
All right, thanks, Howard. Appreciate it. George.
Yeah, I didn't catch any of White's test or experiment or whatever, so I'm not going to comment either way other than saying I wish you'd guys finally get up off with the couches and go and do something for a change. And if you think White's is the way to go, go with it. I'm tired of hearing you all John about this line tests for over a year
He's doing
now.
it next week,
Go out
apparently,
and do
George.
it.
He's doing it next week, apparently.
This Thursday.
He's got several kilometers of line.
Apparently. He's apparently prepared to spend $5,000 on it.
He said he wanted to do it next week. I think he was just saying that he wants to do it as soon as possible. So I don't know that it will actually.
Oh, it might be a COVID problem, mightn't there? Actually, he said.
So what's this line going to be made out of?
He did say. I can't remember what it was now.
Don't you worry, George. He's taking care of all the details. He's on top
That's
of it.
good. I'm just
He's
kind
on top of it.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. Wonderful.
Yep. Okay. Thanks, George. Jeremy.
Ryan said Collins was on the other side of the moon. It's not too late to seize him, for one. For two, shouts out to White. I mean, I was ready to give up hope. You know, all hope was lost. And then here comes this guy out of the woodwork. Never heard of him before. And he's got this fucking brilliant idea. It's fucking great. I'm pumped up. I'm fucking fired up and excited over this. We got to do this in America, in Australia, anywhere over the place. Left lane, where you at? Because we're going to do that shit too. Here in America. All right? And have a good night.
Thanks, Jeremy. F. Evangelist.
Yeah, I just got this really excellent mental picture of Paige and Rumpus trying to build models, and I got Paige. I can see her building this big terrarium, and she's got dirt in the bottom. She's got a little ocean out there. She's built a little lake. She's planted little plants to scale. She's filled it with air. It's looking beautiful. And she might be thinking, oh, I can't quite get the air pressure right, or I can't quite create a tide. But other than that, it's looking pretty peachy. And then I got Rumpus in my brain next to her with this big box, and he sucked all the air out of it. So it's a beautiful vacuum. And then he's got a ball in his hand. And Paige is raking the dirt and making the little forest look beautiful. And Rumpus is just thinking, how do I get this ball to float around in that vacuum? And that's the end of my picture. Good show, guys.
Thank you, Effie. Chad.
What's going on?
What's up, man?
Good show. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
I need a second final thought if I can get a chance at the end.
Okay. Travis. Brian Leakey.
Yeah, man.
I hope better. I got a couple things. One, you know, we as a civilization, whatever, you know, we build even way back in the whatever hundreds, okay, the Great Wall of China, thousands of mile wall, okay, and we build bridges over 26 miles, 50 miles, okay, and I hear people intimidated over a 12-inch, 2-mile fucking wall. Are you kidding me? We can't build a 12-inch tall wall of concrete and tip it over. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? Okay, if we come up with something easier, that's okay. That's great. We come up with something easier. Another thing, yeah, shout out to White, man. He's thinking and all that in his tests. But me personally, I want to do a test that can falsify both models. So I want to try and keep thinking and find a way. I think I got a way. It may take a little work with the buoyancy, working on it, but I think if we can get the buoyancy down pat, I think we got to have a test that could, because they're not going to accept that. They're saying that now, but if it can't falsify a flat Earth, if all it could do is falsify a globe, they'll never accept it. I want to do where we go over 3 miles and sink it down a foot or two, or whatever the middle point is, and pull it. And then, yeah, maybe incorporate some of White's idea to that, where if we get a force going one way or another, wouldn't take much. I don't think we have nothing to measure newtons, but yeah, I like the way he's thinking, man. Shout out to him. And one last thing, my talk was yeah, why couldn't we have went up there? Let's just say, okay, when you look at high altitude footage and balloons like the Go Fast rocket, you seen a moon. It looked small and way far away. You know, it was supposedly over Australia that time of day, and we've seen it way small. So in other words, if you got to it up close, it might be 100 miles wide. You know, it'd be the size of a small, you know, half of a small state or something like that. It'd still be huge. But why couldn't they fly around it? I don't know. I'm highly skeptic with that. But I don't think it's 240,000 miles away, which puts it in the realm of possibility that they went up there. Skeptical, man. Thanks.
Thanks, Brian. Bandsaw.
Yeah, obviously a big shout out to Whites. It's no wonder it's taken an Aussie, a fellow Aussie, to come up with such an ingenious idea that, Brian, if you go back and look over what he has proposed, it does exactly that. It can falsify both models, and its simplicity is just ingenious. And the good thing about it too, it's scalable. It's absolutely scalable. And a big shout out too to Rumpus on agreeing on how simple it is and the fact that it can be scalable and getting on board with it. So yeah, fantastic show, Brandon. Cheers.
Thanks, Bandsaw. Okay, my final thoughts. Yeah, shout out to White's Word. Excellent idea, man. And I think everybody sounds like they're pretty much in on that, so that's great news. I knew we could figure something out to come up with some kind of physical test for curvature, so we'll see if it works. I'll wait to gloat until that time, whatever the results are, because there's been a lot of naysayers that have said that it is impossible to physically measure the shape of the Earth. I guess we'll find out. I'll record the after show. I'll be back in a little while. All right. Thank you. Oh, shit. Hey, one last thing. Sorry, one last thing. Aaron Armstrong, $5. I challenge Paige to show her model. Please include water, waves, tides, sunset, sunrise, star circles from Australia and USA, moon, sun, etc. So
if you had to hit
100 miles in one.
hold on. If you had to hit me with the Honey I Shrunk the Kids shrink gun and put me on one of the models, I'd rather go on Paige's because at least I would have air to breathe. Rumpus's model is just a ball sitting on the bottom of a vacuum with no air.
And mudsliding.
Hey, Rumpus, could you meet me in the general VC room? I'd like you to just kind of give me a brief description of this so-called white test.
Yeah, I wanted to. I thought it was sitting on the ground. I thought they said it was sitting on the ground before I got.
All right. Thanks, Aaron. Thanks. Appreciate the super chat, man. Okay, guys. Have a good night. We'll be back tomorrow. Same time. And who knows what we'll be talking about. Until then, have a good night. See you later.